Welcome, Bastronauts. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy, an endless dimension of fishing legends and degenerates connecting through raw, real, in-person conversations and stories. No, this is not your average fishing podcast. There's no rules. There's no limits. 3, 2, 1, blast off. It's been confirmed. Aliens from another planet have landed on Earth. Sources say there's been 2 confirmed landing points for these extraterrestrial beings. One being Japan, and also, unexpectedly, in Minnesota at Waypoint Angler Supply, a local tackle shop on Lake Minnetonka. With the ever-expanding universe, it's no surprise that there are other planets out there that also share our love for the sport of bass fishing. And to Earth's surprise, this latest visit came from extraterrestrial fishermen light years away and many innovations ahead when it comes to fishing equipment. Some hypothesize these beings came from the planet of Naboo, matching up with Mayan folklore dating back thousands of years with fishing equipment ahead of their time. It has been confirmed they left things never seen before by an Earth-born bass. Waypoint Angler Supply is the premier space station in the bass galaxy and has tackle that could previously only be found in Japan or the planet of Naboo. The Waypoint ship is full, but we don't know when the Bastronauts from Naboo will be back. So hurry in to Waypoint Angler Supply today and stock up on that Area 51 Planet of Naboo JDM good before your buddy is whooping that sweet ass of yours. Stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Use the code GALAXY20 to save 20% on your next tackle binge. Aliens are real. Thank you. Hello, Bastronauts. This is a message of gratitude for myself, all your support that you've shown the Bass Galaxy and Teal's Bass Galaxy podcast, and just very grateful to all the guests and people who've tuned in so far. We want to keep this show rolling for all of you who keep tuning in. So it'd be great if you'd be willing to subscribe to our YouTube channel and support all the great sponsors that keep the Bass Galaxy rolling and ever expanding. And always open to feedback, but your support is greatly appreciated. So hit that subscribe button, check out our sponsors, and we look forward to bringing you even more intergalactic content. Thank you. You got that momentum train riding into probably the best Bassmaster Opens schedule for, a guy from Minnesota that's ever going to exist.
Yeah, it's like best case scenario happening.
Right. And the last thing I want to do is Johnny Manziel this shit or overhype it, right? Or put you in a spot because I think you just keep doing you and don't worry about nothing. But what an opportunity that is. And that's such a cool story. And you're probably sick of telling it by now because how many podcasts have you been on since this has gone down?
A lot of podcasts. But
was I your first?
Yeah, that was, yeah. That was before everything.
There we have it, on the record. I knew that was going to happen, dude, the whole time. That's why I had you out.
No, you didn't.
Well,
you said at the podcast that you're going to do big things.
Oh, dude.
You
He didn't need to do what he just did for me to know that. Same with you, bud. Hell yeah. Another year, another boat, Noah Schultz.
Yeah. It's for sale if you want to buy it.
I'm just honored to be in both of your presence right now. I feel like,
oh my God,
dude, the hottest 2 anglers in the state right now are in the Bass Galaxy. We're in the 5th dimension. What's up, everybody? How are you feeling right now? Like, what's been the day-to-day stuff lately? Like, I bet you don't even have to do any homework anymore, study even a little bit. I bet you got girls carrying your books for you?
Not quite. It's been a lot of trying to get everything in line for next year with the new boat and new truck and everything. That's been kind of stressful. It's my kind of first taste for all that. But it'll all be good in the end. I'm super pumped for this next year.
Couldn't have happened to a better dude, man. And I'll just be honest. Watching you go head to head with that Tucker Smith kid was some of the most intense, awful fishing I've ever watched in my entire life. Like, that was intense, dude.
That was.
And it was like, did you watch that by chance?
No.
Is it available to rewatch? Because it was
all 3 days are on YouTube.
That's
the full live is, yeah.
Dude, I feel like that tournament was right up your alley as far as like
grinder.
Really?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are my favorite.
Watching the guys make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
There's little windows, so you're waiting to see which guy capitalizes on that morning window, that afternoon
So could
window.
you see each other's weights?
No.
No?
You at the break, you get a midday break, and at that time you could choose to see if your competitors wait, but I chose not to all
Oh,
week.
really?
So, yeah.
It was intense, dude.
Why'd you choose not to?
I was just going to go out and catch as much as I could each day and see how the cards shake, I guess. That was my game
So I
plan.
feel like I would want to know. I feel like it'd help me make a
Champs Tour.
choice.
Champs Tour,
And I feel like that's what helps a guy make a decision throughout the day, But it could spin you out, too.
could make a guy make dumber decisions, which happens
Yeah.
to most of the field. Fishing them, myself included. But I hear you. Like, did you know? That is a good question. Like, it was so tight, right? Those smallies were cookie cutters, but there was like this kicker, like
Yeah.
2 3/4 to 3 1/2.
But
Right?
all week, I never got what I felt like was a kicker. There was 2 kids that caught it like a 4.5 pounder. Around, that changes your whole day. I
Right.
never got that real kicker. Just
Right.
high twos.
Right. Man, dude, that was nerve wracking. Like Easton, well, you've probably told it a million times, but watching that, Easton had like this morning deal going. Like you had the morning figured
I
out,
had it, yeah.
and then was it the last day or the second last day that it went? You had one day where the morning deal did not.
That was the final day.
and that's when like
That
did
was
you
a
know
that was,
you're like, it didn't go down here. Now that means it's gonna go down here later at some point, or what?
No, because
Like-
I checked that spot in the afternoon the first 2 days and I didn't catch a thing. So, but I caught him good off that spot the first 2 days, so I was kind of expecting, it's not going to hold 3 days. So I was actually on Google Earth the night before the final day, found some more stuff that set up the same way, and that's what ended up saving me. That was my third stop on that final day where I caught a 2.8 maybe.
Sure.
Ended up being one of my bag fish, and that's what got me rolling. But yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking not getting off to a hot start that final day like I did the first 2 days.
Right. Did I hear a rumor that that you might have been using one of their deals, the Waypoint stuff?
yeah,
Did I
so
hear a rumor about that? I was gonna ask you.
The first day, what is it? The libero head swimmer, the underspin.
Was that
That's
you,
the first
that
day.
you were throwing? Yeah, dude. That bait. That I think they're the only guys that carry that. The underspin deal.
The underspin, yeah.
You're catching them on that.
The first day of the bracket deal, I caught almost every fish on that. So
Half
that was-
ounce.
it was a 5 gram.
5 grams.
I don't know
What
what.
would that
It's
be?
28 grams in an ounce. Don't ask me why I know that.
Fifth of an ounce?
He's so
Six?
JDM.
7 times 4 is 28. So 7 grams would be a 1/4 ounce. Right? Yeah, 7
Be a
grams would be a
fifth-
1/4
Be a
ounce.
fifth of an ounce?
Man, good thing this isn't a math podcast. Fuck. So yeah. Oh, so a pretty light one.
It was light,
That-
yeah.
Light and little.
Yeah, what size swim bait is that? Maybe a 2.5, 3, something like that.
Using
It's
the
pretty
one
small.
on there?
Yeah,
Or
the
you
one that
switched
comes
out?
with it. The one that comes with it.
Huh. It
But-
seems like it's got a real tight.
Mm-hmm. Super tight. So my deal was in the mornings is there was these shelves on transition rock, and it would dump into deep water, and in the morning the fish would get up in literally inches of water on these shelves and feeding. So I would throw that up there. It was so shallow you couldn't fish a Ned rig or nothing. But that swimmer, you'd have to cast it, and as soon as it hit the water, you have to start reeling, and they just smoke it. So it was super fun that first hour, pretty much every day of the bracket.
I could tell you didn't want to lose whatever lure.
I had one package of those, and I was out of them on the last day. So
well, next time
I'll stock up for sure.
Or call us and we'll overnight it. Like, dude, these boys they've overnighted me stuff. So next time, like, they'll overnight you them, dude.
Perfect.
The silver blade one.
Yep.
Water is dirty.
It was dirty. It wasn't dirty. It was clean, but it was like a weird algae stain kind of. It was kind of green water.
Sure. So in your opinion, like, what did that bait do that, like, your other stuff couldn't? Because obviously it was effective. You had a morning deal.
It was something with the underspin, because a normal swim bait, you'd get some bites, but not nearly that. And I think that blade on the bottom might have helped it keep it up a little bit, so I could fish it so shallow.
Sure. Well, it almost maybe act as a snag guard if you could keep the nose.
That's true. Yeah, it definitely came through those rocks really good. So
I got a couple of those. I haven't made that one work for me, but if Fothergill's making it work, I mean, that's something to pay attention to. So that means, now you won that, beat that guy, that Tucker Smith guy. That's right.
Yep, that did happen.
Which it was your arch nemesis, like college, right?
Yep.
We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Vikings beating the Packers in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Kind of,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Auburn's definitely our biggest rival, and just we're the two top dogs, I guess you could call it. So it was kind of cool how that all came down.
So Easton's now deleted his Tinder account. Got too wild, too crazy after that shit. Dude, just congrats. So you won entries into the Opens, which is probably what's the biggest hurdle to the Opens?
The entry. That's why I haven't done it. The cost of doing it.
$2,000 a pop.
Times
you worked
9.
your way
Times 9.
So to me, there's something about visualization with things, and what I loved about our conversation last time was how I could tell by the way you said it how set you were on that.
That was the
one
one
thing.
Yeah.
On that one tournament. That was the tournament you were set on, right?
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about harnessing your mind to that, because before that it was Team of the Year, and you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you just have an amazing imagination that allows you to? Do you think that helps? I think it helps, because I think we've got another example of it
let's
we'll get
bring him into
in
this.
a sec.
I guarantee he's thinking about the championship all season long, not just leading up to it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I don't even care about AOI or anything. It's all about
making it to the championship.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the bigger differences between you and everybody else fishing the trail last year, Noah. And I think it's a lot of because it's just how you have to think because of the position you're put in, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
But I don't think anybody else was probably dreaming about that championship from the night it was announced, besides maybe you.
I was.
And I could see Arnie also.
Oh, yeah. And Thompson.
And Thompson. Yep.
Yeah.
So
as soon as they announced it, I told my wife, I'm like, it might happen again. Like, I don't ever get confident. I'm never that guy to be cocky or say, like, oh, I'm going to catch him, I'm going to win. But I just, I've got a legit shot because this lake sets up just like every single lake back home.
yeah.
And had been there before. I fished it. I'd fished 2 tournaments there in the past with my buddy Tim Pittman from back home. We had decent tournaments there, and just knowing the lake and how it's set up. And it's like, and for those tournaments, I didn't put any time in, we'd show up, like, you practice one day and you'd fish. So, like, I'm actually going to put some practice in. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to figure this lake out. And, yeah, so once they announced it, like, I just put a target on that tournament. And I was like, that was my focus for the entire year. Get there. And, kind of the same thing with Easton.
Yeah. Man. I just think it's amazing. Like, I truly think it's amazing that we've got that caliber of angler in the state, and just how competitive the state has gotten. Even like you look at,
I feel like Minnesota's underrated as far as competitive fishing goes. and the anglers that are in the state. Like it's
Yeah.
look at the last few years, how many guys like Easton, Fighter, Douglas, Felix, all these guys, Bob Downey, all these guys coming out of Minnesota. Like just all of a sudden Minnesota's blowing up, I feel like, in the tournament scene the last few years.
Big time.
I feel like we're super underrated up here.
Dude, our fishing is amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's
And
really good fishing.
That's why I think it
Diverse.
makes us so good is that at any given day we can go to any given lake and you can go to a river, you can go to shallow water dirty lake, you can go to deep, Pokegama, bait chasing lake where they roam and they're pelagic, and you can go to Mille Lacs and learn how to fish boulders and crawfish eating smallmouth, or go down the road and you're fishing dirty water largemouth. Like you have all these different opportunities and you can always catch fish and get bit.
Right.
That's the best way to learn is to catch fish.
Yeah.
And
what I think's the coolest about you two right now is you two are very different in terms of where you guys are from and what you guys cut your teeth on as far as types of bodies of water.
Yeah.
You've got Mr. Pokegama over here, from the North Country, Grand Rapids. And then you've got
dirty water.
sweet southern largemouth, Noah Schultz, right? Where you don't have much of a weed line or
Weeds aren't even a thing.
or-
The weeds are just like east-west rush. They get about that deep.
yeah,
That's it.
like clean water means you can see your second guide when you stick it in the water, like where you're from.
Yep. Fishing deep is 8 foot.
That's actually partially why I wanted to get you guys together tonight, because I feel like that diversity of where you're from, yet both having a ton of success, both locally and just on bigger stuff, is something that I think super interesting and fascinating. This guy, you'd probably see a spinning rod in his hand. Not saying he can't throw a bait caster, but he's got a style that really has.
Well, he has the live scope stigma. Even though on his previous podcast he swears he doesn't fish with it as much as people think, but he has that stigma around, like he's a live scoper, he's a finesse fisherman, clear water.
Yeah,
That's what I think of when I think of
if
Easton.
you turn on MSNBC at night and they're doing a story on Easton Fothergill, professional live scoper wins another tournament on live scope with a spinning rod. But the reality is, I think it's a tool for him, and I think
That's exactly
what
it.
makes you the deadliest with it is you know when to put it down and when to pick it up. And I think that's also what makes you deadly with your live and your style of fishing that you utilize with that. And you two never really met before tonight.
Nope.
So, yeah, we're going to cross paths a little bit, I guess. And
Well, that's why I drove up here, so I wanted to hear.
I know you didn't drive up for me, dude.
No, I came to see him.
Yeah.
I want to know.
I know you didn't drive down here for me, dude.
I want to know the
little
secret
bit.
bait.
Yeah.
I've asked him like 5 times already. He won't even give me the time of day, by the way.
Dude, there is not. What do they call the people who break through the safes? Like, what do
Locksmith?
There's not a locksmith that could crack that safe if he didn't want it cracked.
Well, he told
He's
you,
very
so.
good. Dude, like, you ever heard of like the Chinese torture methods? We had to get pretty, like, I can't go into it because I'll probably go to jail, but like, it took 3 people. We had to beat it out of them. So like, I just don't think you want that on your conscience. But I think I honestly I feel like he still lied to me. Like, I still don't know if he told me.
No lies.
Is it spinning rod
Appreciate
or
that.
bait caster?
It is a spinning rod. It's finesse.
That's what I figured in my mind. It was going to be a
It
spinning
makes
rod.
a lot of sense, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he could do much damage with it up
Not where he's at.
here. So I think you could tell him. I just don't know if
Not right
that
now,
should
I
be-
can't.
Yeah, on the record. I think we could do an auction for subscriptions
There we go.
to
There we go.
see
There we go.
Like I said earlier,
how
I'll
much
tell
it's
you
worth
mine.
to the world.
I'll tell you mine if
know?
you tell me yours.
How about we get a bidding war in the comments section of whatever post we do on how much people would pay to know the actual truth about that weapon and that weapon.
Do you have a certain weapon that you use that can account for a majority of your wins?
No, yeah, I guess, but diverse. Like it's a classification, maybe. Of
Like
weapon.
a way?
Certain ways, yeah.
Because I have like 1 or 2 specific lures that I can account for a majority of my wins.
Well, Dana and I looked back, and it was pretty staggering
So you have one too.
Dane has one and I have one, and our tournaments, it's like
Yeah.
those two together. It's weird.
A lot of people, most people have
And
a
maybe one
confidence
other
lure
one
or
mixed.
two.
Yeah, 3 or 4. That's actually a really interesting. That's super interesting.
Yeah. Everyone has
So it's
one.
like maybe,
It's a confidence lure.
but that's maybe. What if you just threw those? What if you just did that?
I
See,
feel like I just still cash checks all year.
I know, but like
With mine, I would not.
actually, so baits we've won with versus baits we've cashed checks with. Like we've cashed checks with a lot of different techniques.
Me too.
But like when I look at our first and seconds, Dane, when I look at our first and seconds, yeah, wow, that is actually a weird freaking thought.
I have two. I have two that can count for probably 75% of the trophies on my wall.
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah, it's not one bait.
Jacob fucking Wheeler over here. I like it. No. Really.
Yeah.
There's not even one that sticks out as you've won more tournaments on that than the rest. You know?
But he might be in a different situation because he travels the U.S. a lot.
I mean, yeah,
For
if
the
we're
college
talking like
tournaments,
a
stuff like
herring
that.
lake, then a gizzard shad bite, then a...
I feel like if you've been fishing
Florida
locally
bite.
in one area for 10 to 20 years, you're going to have a very specific bait
Yeah, I
that
agree.
you lean on a lot more.
Not to mention, Minnesota bass are a little dumber than
that
southern
too.
bass as far as how much they get casted at.
Very much
And
so.
how many lures they
Yeah.
see. So I feel like you can take that maybe approach a little bit
But you do
easier.
Like you do have a confidence bait though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the reason it's a confidence bait is because you've had a lot of success with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So everyone has one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was blown away by all the places you catch them on yours. Because for me, it was a dirty water thing, you
You
know?
would think, yeah.
Right.
I actually do better in clear water with it a lot of times.
That's crazy. And that's, that was something I hadn't utilized that for. But that deal was something I've always really
I could
liked
tell you.
to
I could
do
tell you
in
a
the
few
dirt.
things off record when we get done, if you remember to ask. But we won't dive into that on the podcast. But
Yeah, 75. I would make a horrible auctioneer. We'll take it. Okay. So that's, I think, what's cool about you is how diverse you are. And is your taste of music, we got into your taste of music a little bit, but is it the same?
It's just as diverse.
Just as diverse. So you go from like Nelly to Tupac to Sinatra up to
Yes.
Petty over to Diana Ross or you know,
From
whatever.
that to ACDC, yeah.
Oh,
all of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
We might need to take a tour of my record player after this, and we'll see.
Okay.
No, I've never asked you even what you listen to for music.
heavy metal all the way, nothing else.
Really?
Yeah.
Heavy metal.
Mhm.
Like, okay. Are we talking like Slipknot, Killswitch Engage? Like if you can hear their voice through a rasp, it's too soft for you?
Yeah. Like
Cool.
Lamb of God, Spirit Box, like
Dude,
heavy stuff. Yeah.
I like it.
Get you pumped up to catch some bass.
I can only imagine. So you fish pretty good pissed off? Oh, but I know
Not
people
pissed off, but
there's people who that makes them like
I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like I grew up, younger. It was old school rap stuff like that, and once I got into my 20 to low 20s, I kind of just transitioned away from because rap kind of changed over the years to.
once they started talking real bad about women, you're like
I don't
Jenna
know,
keeps hitting skip.
No, pretty much it's heavy metal. That's all. It's like pretty much all I listen to.
That's cool.
Yeah, like I don't know why. Because I'm a pretty mellow dude,
I used to listen to metal for hockey games as a kid
Yeah.
and like hard rap. And then like I realized that I don't function that way. I actually do better with something like that eases my mind a little bit more because I have ADD like real bad. So it's already like you throw me some heavy metal, then tell me to focus. It's basically like looking at a blender for like, you don't even know what's going to come out. But it's weird how that works. Do you have any pre-ritual songs? Well, we were talking with Dumke and you like mixed it up a bunch.
To be honest, I'll just pick a playlist, hit shuffle, and see what comes out.
Just go where the bass go, man. Just go where I can get the next bite.
You listen to music when you're fishing?
A little bit in practice, but sometimes I think it distracts me and I'll shut it off. So
How about you?
No, not
Yeah.
really. If I do, it's turned down and I forget about it. But
I don't listen to anything.
I wish there's like a couple different songs that I wish I could like play as like a tempo, like for me, that I could kind of fish fast or slow to.
I'm on the same lines as he is. Like, I feel like it's a distraction.
I agree.
I have no radio on my boat. I don't play anything on my phone.
I don't
Most
either.
time, like, I won't even answer my phone if I'm practicing. Like,
I can't.
I like completely zone everything out.
I will.
Everything. I won't even have a seat in my boat because I don't want to sit because you get relaxed, you know. And I stand all day. And
You get hyper focused.
yes,
So do you.
Yes.
So do I.
I guess now thinking about it is the days I kind of dedicate to graphing, I will listen to music, but
I could see that.
that
would
the
be-
days-
I'll listen to
I mean,
podcasts when
Yeah.
if I'm graphing for like 5, 6, 7 hours at a time. Then I'll
Mhm.
put a podcast on and just let it play and listen, and then you can graph.
Graphing's different.
Yeah,
But-
There's less. I feel like there's less focus.
especially like
involved.
early when it's dark out. Then I'll definitely play some music.
Well, at Lawrence, you can go back in time, and if you miss something, it's like
I got Apex.
between songs, you can check what you just looked.
I got Apexes going into this next
Oh,
year.
yeah, they
and
do
you
that.
can scroll back on your.
Those seem
imaging.
like they're.
Really?
Have you played with those yet?
Not yet, but like, oh man, I can't wait to get them on the boat.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
But you can attest to that hyper focus, and
Yeah.
then your phone rings.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
Me too.
Like,
Me too.
oh, it rings. And it's like, I don't even want to. Like, I
I
have
have to
a,
do
I
a
have,
breathing exercise.
I have a hard time even eating the sandwich or stopping to take a drink of water when I'm practicing because I don't want to stop.
Mhm.
I don't want to not make that cast to stop to get a bottle of water.
Dude,
Like,
he's not that way. He was texting me in practice one time. Like,
You should have seen the storm I was waiting out.
oh, that's fair. Okay, okay. That's. I was like,
You
Jesus,
I
dude.
told you that. You let me off the hook.
You got like the Daiwa reel with the flipping switch or whatever, and he's just scope. How's it going, Bill?
No, it was super bad storm coming through when I was texting you. So
That I think you told me that.
I did.
Yeah. There's something I don't think people who don't have that don't understand. I don't think that
mm-mm.
you can't
obsession.
explain it.
I was thinking about this a little bit on the way down. I think back to my basketball coach. You should practice harder than your game days. Your game day should feel like a breeze compared to practice, and that's
I
kind of
agree.
that's how I treat practice.
I feel like tournament days are more relaxed for me too.
Mhm.
They're intense, but like you're focused, but it's not a 15-hour day. It's an 8-hour day. You know, that makes sense.
That's interesting.
It's more intense for that 8 hours, but it's not drawn out across a 15-hour practice. You're not getting up to the lake at 4:30 in the morning and leaving at 7:30 at night.
See, I practice for 15 hours, and that does not feel. I do not feel as dead after that as I do a Champions Tour event, for example. So it's like
I agree for sure.
it's
like,
a very lazy process for me compared to fishing the Champions Tour tournament. You graph this, and then you'll,
yeah.
throw this moving bait around, not set the hook like across.
I guess
this
I should
flat,
probably
and
backtrack and probably agree
Then
with
tournament
you.
day, you gotta catch everything, and like it's.
But I
it's
feel like
kind
the
of
Champions Tour
intense.
might be a little bit different deal because it's the intensity is so much more.
Five fish, I agree with.
Yeah.
The way I practice, the tournament day does not feel
Well, that-
as
I-
unless we're sucking as bad as we did in a couple this year. Then you just don't. There's no way you're.
So
Feeling
I
good.
fish way more 5-fish derbies than I do, Champions Tour events. So I'll fish like 25 fish derbies a year, and then just only 4 Champions Tour events.
I'm on that 50-50 train with Team Trail Champs Tour, and you're pretty much all.
I'm all
I fish a lot of
5-fish.
stuff back home though, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I'm home, I'm fishing tournaments every weekend, both days, jumping in whatever I can get into.
Right.
Like I'm always. I probably fish 30 tournaments a year.
me too.
Well, I feel like if you ever fished the Opens, like you two would, if you two put your heads together and fished the Opens and did like the Canal Wheeler thing,
Yeah.
you guys could like run some train because he's like
Just how opposites we are.
just how opposite you are. I
Backgrounds.
feel like, you guys could cover some ground and do pretty good. So that's
That's-
actually why I got you here. This is a recruiting scenario. I've actually been thinking about becoming an agent and have the first Elite Series team, under my sports agency.
There's a lot of teams out there, really.
There is, dude. They team up.
Majority of the elite guys probably work together.
Right.
You see a lot of them in the Champions Tour, I think. Do you? No?
If I've heard about it, but
I
if
feel like
it's happened, it hasn't been.
I feel like there's some misconceptions too. So like,
What does team mean? Does team mean
exactly,
full split?
exactly.
Does it
So
mean full split?
so
I mean, if it's Montevallo, like, good job, Easton. Our school got $6,000 for that
Yeah.
full split.
yeah.
Yeah, how would team work for Champs Tour?
Well, it depends. They do, like, there's people that do 50-50. Like they split the money. They split everything in half
Really?
or thirds or whatever.
Is it allowed or is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, it's allowed.
Because
Yeah.
there was a time where it supposedly wasn't, right?
Well, as long as I've been fishing Champions Tour, they've always said it's fine. But after the leg split, you cannot talk about where you're going, what you're doing. So, I don't know. But, yeah, I feel like there's a big, like, so, like,
Man, how do they police? That is such a.
that's why they say it's okay, because you can't police it.
Okay.
But even on the Elite Series, people split money. Like, look at the Johnston brothers. All their money goes into one account, and then they share their money throughout the season.
I think you and I should team up and we'll split it 80-20. You get 80, I'll take 20.
I don't team up with
right? And my
anybody.
job is to contribute, like, get 20% of that for you, right?
My money is my money.
I'm totally fucking with you, dude. I would never. Yeah. I'm not worthy.
So people think like me and Schrader and Walker work together all the time, which, like, it's just like you and Dane. You guys probably talk about, I got a good dock bite today, or something like that. That's if anything, we probably lie to each other and hurt each other more than anything.
I don't lie to Dane, and I hope he doesn't lie to me.
We're all
but
so competitive. We all want to win over each other.
we never want to screw each other. That's what I know. And we want to, with Dane and I, it was like after that first tournament where we didn't talk to each other and we ended up on the same spot, like it was more so of like, hey, can we at least save 10, 15 minutes? Make sure we're not screwing the pooch on this because of us fishing together in the past.
Yeah.
So it's more so about that, and then just like a type of bite, like hey,
Yeah. That's what, like, I'll even just anybody random.
like hey, did you try the 3/8 ounce this or
the dock bite's really good. Like,
or like yo, did you roll a swim jig around? Yeah,
I don't feel like that is working together. Do you? That's just basic.
that's not teaming up.
No,
in my opinion, that's
how do we get off on
That's
this
just dock talk.
conversation?
I don't know. It's the galaxy, bro. We're just roaming through the fifth dimension, I think. Oh yeah, I was talking about if you guys were
if
to
we
team
were to
up
team
for the
up, yeah,
opens.
yeah.
I feel like that'd be like a good combo. And I guess
And we're talking about how common it actually is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this. I've said this before, but you're here now.
I am here now.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. They have a wide variety of home loan programs in their tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time home buyer options. Just ask me. I trusted Aaron Dagas, a bass fisherman just like you and me, and Supreme Lending's Dream Team to help finance my first home. Contact Aaron Dagas and the Dream Team today by scanning the QR code or giving them a call at 763-326-0677. That's 763-326-0677. Did I catch a 7 in there? Or visit their website, aarondages.supremelending.com. That's AARONDAEGES.supremelending.com. As anglers, we develop special bonds with our equipment. There's something magical when you find that perfect jig rod and reel combo for a technique that elevates your confidence on the water. Whether it's a perfectly balanced, crisp, and sensitive jig rod that gives you the highest level of control over your bait, allows you to feel every grain of sand, every bite, and allows you to drive that hook clean, or a rod with the perfect action and taper that seems to keep your chatterbait, swim bait, or whatever it is in the back of the bass's head where it belongs no matter where you throw it, or a rod that allows you to effortlessly cast a lighter bait you used to cuss at on your old combo. These types of magical bonds are rare to find in a mass-produced sweatshop, which is why Veselka Fishing and Customs came to existence, with the sole purpose of bringing you closer to your passion by enhancing the bond with you, your rod, and the bass. Confidence is everything in bass fishing, and there's no bigger boner buster than losing a big fish, not feeling like you can present your bait correctly. The list goes on and on. Mr. Veselka is a full-blown artesian craftsman who can build you the perfect rod, no matter the size or action, custom, exactly the way you want it. He also has a wide variety to choose from right on his website, including fan favorites like the 8-foot hair jig rod, the drop shot rod, swim bait rod, the chatter chicken rod, the MH workhorse, and more. Even ice fishing. You do the whole frozen Swiss cheese thing, the ice fishing. Seen grumpy old men? Well, you can send that jiggle stick back to the antique store because Mr. Veselka builds custom ice rods in all sizes and actions too. So head on over to his website, veselkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com to enhance your confidence on the water, feel your passion, and catch more bass, baby. I would like to publicly announce that Noah Schultz is the Guinness Book of World Record holder for most tournaments won with the most amount of kids born under his name.
Fair enough.
Do you think that's a
It's gotta be up there.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be up there.
I want it to be something you're proud of, though. Like,
Oh yeah.
I would be proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people.
It's hard. People don't realize how hard it is to raise kids.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And I don't
just even coming up here, like how long we've been talking back and forth about coming up here. 3 months.
Yeah.
Like I had my wife's family fly in from North Carolina for a while visiting. Right after that, we had a birthday, and right after that, my son got married. Went to the Air Force, and we had 2 or 3 other birthdays in there. Then there's something else big going on too. With all this stuff going on all the time with all these kids, we have school functions, we have conferences, we have doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, and then we're going to kind of squeeze this podcast in. And now in a few weeks, got to go to Texas to see my son graduate the Air Force.
Yeah.
Their boot camp for Air Force. It's like it just never ends and never stops. So it's hard. Raising kids is hard,
dude. I don't know. Like, and there's people that come up to me and ask, like, how does he do it? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. There's a lot, and I'm not calling these people out, but there's a lot of people who quit fishing over a kid or two.
Yeah.
Like, can't do it no more.
That's where Jenna comes in. She fills.
These guys have wives, but, like, it's such a hard, like, 1 to 2 kids is a lot of work at the end of the day. So I'm being empathetic to those pansies out there who are making those excuses.
Non-stop, all day, every day.
But, dude, how do you do it? Like, how?
You just do it. You make sacrifices. I don't know.
Easton made a sacrifice. He got his vasectomy last month. I'm just kidding. Did you? That's a smart investment, young man. No, there's... Then you couldn't be named Fothergill.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah,
you
you're right.
Like, you got to pass that legend on for sure. if you want to.
That is a cool last name.
If you want to. But, like, the day-to-day of that...
It's all day, every day. It's a lot.
It's impressive.
So, do you give a lot in the winter so that she gives a lot in the summer? Is it that kind of trade-off?
That's exactly what it is. That's what people don't understand to us. Another thing, like, it drives me crazy is that people think I don't work, and all I do is fish and fish and fish and fish and fish, which is not the case. I fish less now than I ever have in my entire life.
Throw 6 kids in front of them and see if they're working.
Yeah. So, like, my winter schedule looks like this. Like, I work probably 12 to 14 hours a day. That is no lie, because people say that, like I wake up at 4 to 4:30 every morning, and I'll work till probably 6:30, 7 o'clock at night every day for 6 to 7 days a week. But once summer comes, then it's game on.
Right.
And that's where Jenna really steps up and takes help take over my role. Not as far, not so much as the business, but with the kids,
Yeah.
Like she's 100% with the kids while I'm out and gone and fishing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What's the latest? What's the big toy the kids are into nowadays? I know Christmas. There's always the
tablets and iPads and.
Oh man,
my daughter wants a cell phone for Christmas. Hopefully she's not listening to this, but I don't think she will.
I wanted dinosaurs and fishing lures, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I went Christmas shopping the other day with Jenna. I don't. You don't got to worry about this yet, but you will someday, I'm sure.
Easton's like, we're getting iPads. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're going through the store and every toy is like $50. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what happened to the world?
Dude, it's
like, oh my god. Yeah.
Can you imagine being a college kid right now? I was so poor in college when shit was cheap.
Yeah. It's crazy. The cost of living is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's expensive now.
What's cool in like college now? Like there's always a fad. Like how's your Tony? How you enjoying the Tony over there? The Tony. The Tony
Dude,
T. The twisted Tony T's over there.
It's good, man.
Is it any good?
It's all right.
Okay, what's like the hype at college? Is it the claws? Is it the you guys do the lattes, the
It's everything. Man.
natties? I bet
There's
it's
nothing.
natties.
Whatever's the cheapest, probably, huh?
Yeah,
Cheapest.
natties are cheap.
Okay. You guys do it's not a private school, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there's no red wine.
Red wine.
Just kidding. Red wine's pretty cheap, like, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But, I think probably the coolest thing about what you're doing is the Southern thing. Like, I wish I could go back in time and like go to college in Montevallo and immerse yourself in that
I know.
type of body
when
of
I was
water.
in school, like there was no such thing as school fishing. Like, but when I was in school, fishing was like not cool, so you tried to hide it. You know, you didn't tell people you were fishing. I don't fish. What are you talking about? But now it's like accepted and cool. You know, and there's teams and scholarships and all sorts of stuff. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's getting scholarships and stuff for fishing, and then getting our travel paid for is
Yeah, it's insane.
it's crazy.
I remember asking, I had them high school national champions on. I remember asking, "Do you guys wear your jerseys in school?" And one kid's like, "Man, wearing your jerseys in school is basically like birth control, man."
I see one of them's fishing the tour this year, right?
Yeah, Zach is.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see that.
Be cool. Yeah. Nice kids. Anyway, South though, like talk about the hurdle. Like if that's the biggest hurdle for a Minnesota angler fishing nationally is fishing down south, right? Talk about like what's that hurdle like compared to like just what an angler has to face down like when you go down there now. And I probably asked you this a different way before, but
Yeah, but I say it all the time. I'd much rather go from here to the south than the south to up here. Like I'd much rather.
That makes sense.
You get what I'm saying?
yeah, I do actually.
Like the southern boys are so 65-pound braid, heavy stick. They hate picking up a spinning rod. Hate it. And I don't know. I don't mind that. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. But that's just the ideas and almost all their heads. It's really weird. But fisheries wise, like Noah said earlier, we have so many different diverse fisheries around here. I'm able to kind of be like, oh, this looks kind of like this. This looks like this. I'm able to kind of correlate really quickly, and it just makes the light bulb go off a little bit faster than I think most people.
Yeah, you've seen a lot more scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before I even compete down there, I've seen so much around here, like dirty water, clean water, current.
right.
I've seen a lot.
Right. But just because there's a lot of Minnesotans that go down south with a spinning rod
Right.
and don't do worth a shit. You know, I'd be one of them, right? So I do think there's
I mean,
a lot more to it than
no, they're
that.
definitely, like, my freshman year was extremely humbling. It was all straight learning that had like hardly any success. But
But you feel like you could have learned that quicker down there.
oh yeah. That you need the experience down there. You can't just free ball it from up here and go down. You need experience down there. So
But you feel like you could learn that quicker than you could learn.
like smallmouth,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm super thankful I grew up fishing smallmouth.
That's
than
where
down
I
there.
feel like that's interesting for a guy like you who has that raw talent. And I know there's, with what we just talked about, like the biggest question you're going to be getting and have already gotten is why aren't you fishing the opens? Are you going to fish the opens? You going to fish the opens? No. And you're probably sick of hearing it, but we can just air it out and maybe, a couple thousand people quit asking.
What's the cost? You're looking at 40 to 50 grand.
Time.
That's the other thing too, is a double-edged sword. So I don't have vacation days. I don't have paid time off. I'm my own employer. I own my own business. So if I take time off, call it 3 months. That's 3 months of pay I don't have. Plus the cost of doing the opens. And sponsors. I think it's very, if you follow social media at all or YouTube at all, it's very, very obvious what's happening in the industry is sponsor dollars are getting cut back.
Yeah.
So there's no way in the world that I'm going to round up enough, me, a guy from Minnesota, is round up enough money to pay for the opens, I don't see that happening.
For you, there's a lot more weight to your risk with your family, right?
Yeah, that too.
But the opportunity is also greater.
I look at the opens as an investment.
For sure.
You're not going to make you're not going to make money fishing the opens the first year or two.
Correct.
You're investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And is the risk worth the reward? If I was a single guy, yeah, absolutely,
Right.
When I'm married, I have kids. I have kids in school with friends, so it's like I can't wager my home and all that stuff, That makes sense.
Totally. I think,
so.
Is it something that you're striving towards?
Oh, absolutely.
I
think this whole open things will calm down. Let the economy kind of
let everybody go into bankruptcy.
Well, I mean, look,
walk in.
This year there's already fewer anglers than last year. You
right.
know? And now we have this whole BPT thing going on. Let them flood in. I feel like give it a few years, let everything settle, let the economy get a little bit better. I mean, it's hard to even sell a bass boat right now. People don't want to spend money.
Well, it is December.
Well, I know, but
no snow though. You should be buying bass boats. Jesus.
But we're getting into a new season already.
They are. Yeah. Yeah.
But I sell things. I see the writing on the wall. That's what our business is selling. And I can tell you, over the last few years, that people are not spending as much money as they were. And I can see it in my own business.
Right.
And I just feel like kind of let everything settle, let the dust settle. Maybe. Hopefully maybe they'll change instead of all 9. Maybe they'll go back to like a division or maybe half or something like that, because as of right now, how can I justify dropping 50 grand, taking 3 months off of work? So, I mean, whatever your income would be, whoever's listening to this, just minus 3 months of your income, minus 25% of your income from the year, plus pay the cost of doing it. So, that's a ton of money.
Totally.
To not make any money. The only thing you'll be doing is trying to qualify.
Right.
So,
that's
hard.
There's not an accountant on planet Earth
that would say
that will ever say, where do I sign?
Is it a dream? Absolutely. To me, you're living the dream, dude. It is.
You're in a really good spot.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see from the outside
absolutely. Looking
in, dude. It's super cool to see, and especially because you're a good person. There's a lot of people out there that. It's turned into quite the rich kid sport, so to speak.
100% absolutely is.
It's cool to see guys like you, have success, because to me that's always who I root for. But
me too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But where I was going with that is, I feel like there's these Jacob Fouts videos that came out that are receiving all this hype, and I think the big thing about pro fishing that is just blatantly obvious, it's sad, I don't like that it's this way, but you will not make a fortune ever just fishing.
That's okay though.
Or a financial freedom. That is, I don't think anybody's reached pure just financial freedom just from winnings.
But people aren't chasing that when they're chasing fishing.
But there's a business side of it that's promotional based, that's marketing based, there is people who do have financial freedom who are professional fishermen. It exists. Their name's Gerald Swindle. Their name's Jacob Wheeler. Their name's
Brandon
Lee
Polnick.
Livesay right now. Seth Fighter also elevate. You know what I mean? So there's a ratio of fishing and being good at promotion, and
that's the 1% though. You know, when you like, is that you're not chasing your dream trying to be a millionaire, right? You're chasing it because it's your dream.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care if you're going to make enough money to live and professionally fish. Anything on top of that would be a bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what my dream would be. Like, I don't care. I'm not chasing dollars.
Right.
I'm chasing the idea of fishing every day and being able to pay my bills and sustain my lifestyle. That's what I'm chasing. And not having to work.
Right.
Living what I love. That's what I'm chasing.
I am too, man. 100%.
I'm not chasing $1 million.
1%'s relative, though, right? Because if you look, people talk about the 1% income in the United States all the time, but if you looked at it differently, well, if you make over $35,000 in the United States, you are in the top 1% income earner in the entire world.
Yeah.
But if
The
you look at
world,
the
yeah.
United States, you're fucking poor. You know what I mean?
So yeah, these days, that's poverty.
And you guys are in the top 1% when it comes to fishing ability, and you've proven that. I mean, I'm not a numbers guy, but crunch those numbers, and I bet they'd shake out pretty close. So I think the magic key is figuring out what is that way that you guys can share that with the world outside of that tournament, right? And
That's kind of what we were talking about earlier.
yeah, to stay relevant. And I think you guys,
I feel like the perfect person would be like a Sobey and a Fothergill, just morph them into one.
or Sobey and a Noah, or
You
just,
know?
I think, no, Sobey's Sobey, Noah's Noah, Fothergill's Fothergill.
But
And his dad is Fothergill too, but he's Easton Fothergill. Gill Daddy.
But I feel like the people that are really capitalizing, like the Jacob Wheelers, are good on camera. They have a very good personality that you want to watch, and they can catch them, and they can market, and they're capitalizing on all parts of it. Or a Scott Martin.
They
you
give
know?
the juice. Like, so it's either, it seems like you got to give the juice or be funny as, or Matt Robertson, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. You either got, it's KVD, Matt Robertson. And I feel like,
Well, I'm not funny, and I'm not going to give the juice. So
I'm the same way.
you can give them a snack, Noah. You don't got to give them the whole kitchen. They still got to go do it.
yeah.
I think you should teach Sonar classes.
I've thought about that. My wife really
That's
pushed
what I'm
me
gonna
to do that.
I'm gonna start doing it.
She wanted me to do Sonar classes and like little seminars. I'm like, I'm gonna get like 3 people in my class. I
No,
said.
dude, I'm gonna start doing it.
She's like,
I've
no,
thought
you gotta
about it
do it.
too.
I'm like,
Dude, do you know how many? I used to sell boats. Do you know how many people pay $20,000 for electronics and have no clue how to use them and don't spend any extra?
well, Douglas used to do
It's
that.
a huge investment.
Electronics training on the water.
Genius. And I've done it. I used to do it. I've done a couple of them, and like, you're teaching people how to find their own bass. You know, it's
Yeah.
not. You're not giving your waypoints up. I mean,
She
you
might-
really
my-
got to pay for
My
those.
wife was pushing really hard for a while for me to do that. I
Sell
just-
your waypoints.
Oh no, she'll sell my waypoints if I make her mad. I'm just
You didn't
kidding.
win anything off them anyway. Except you did.
No.
How was your regular season? We were talking about this the other day.
my regular season?
It's Champs Tour. You had a pretty good regular season. You had like top 5.
I think I finished 3rd in points.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I had your back for sure.
I had a bomb on the first one.
Yeah. Somebody was saying like, I can't remember how I did in the regular season. I'm
30th.
like, pretty sure they're like, yeah, he didn't do as good in the regular season as usual. I was like,
I think
what?
I don't think I finished out of the top 5 ever for AOI
Right.
in Champions Tour.
Right. I think it was Newman.
No.
I think it was Newman who said that
He's got his
actually.
blinders on.
I don't know. We'll have to call him.
Yeah,
On a piss break, we'll call him.
If Arnie
I need to verify if bite powder's legal still.
if Arnie or Keller would have stumbled a little bit, then I would have locked up AOI. But that's the other thing. Like a lot.
Keller, I mean,
He's consistent, dude.
he had it. I mean, he told me how that went down, and it was like, whew.
East West Rush.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even have that bad. I mean, yeah. I thought he had it pretty locked
They
up.
tied.
I know.
I bet if he caught one more bass, he probably would have won it.
That's what that's. I mean, I felt bad for him. We were talking
That's
after
the thing,
the
like-
tournament. It's like you lose 2 bass that day. It's like, say why?
We talk about going back to our previous podcast. It's like it comes down to 1 or 2 fish usually, like your entire season. Like, even more so with the opens.
I mean,
You know,
Yeah.
that bass tournament I watched, you beat that Tucker Smith guy at. I'm not gonna get sued for that or nothing, am I?
No.
I'm just stating facts here for the love of God.
That's facts. Yeah, it is.
Tucker Smith guy. Who's this Tucker Smith guy?
I hate to blast people on the pod, but he's kind of that.
Was he the guys from the Opens last year? That
Yeah.
big controversy was around?
There's been,
Spot holding and stuff?
Yeah.
I heard about that.
I mean, we could get this to go viral if we wanted to like spill some shit about him right now, but
I don't know. I don't even know the situation.
I don't even know what's
get
true.
your YouTube
so.
channel cooking.
That'd be a
Hi,
way
I'm
to
Randy
kick it
Blockett,
off.
and I approve this message. I hope I've pissed all of you off by now.
He's kind of a genius, though.
Dude, he Donald Trump that one.
He's making a lot of money.
Yeah, you get, I mean, that's Donald Trump. I mean, whatever, right? But all publicity is good publicity.
He's getting the views.
Yep, Jacob Fouts. I mean, those videos that get polarized 50-50. And that's my problem is I don't think we're pissing people off enough, maybe. We got to quit cutting. Or cut more. Maybe that'll really get them going. You know, cut more.
Yeah, I watched that first Jacob Boats video. You believe he's only made $7,000 in the years he's been on the elites?
Is he talking about
He's talking
after
about
expenses?
No, he's talking about what sponsors have paid him in 2 years is only $7,000.
I feel like nobody's reaching out to offer you money. So if he wasn't asking it correctly,
Yeah.
or if he didn't have
I
a
can see
value
that.
package to like propose, if you're new to that world, it's a really. I sell advertising.
hard.
I sell restroom advertising for a living. So my day is full of misery every day. Nobody wants to talk to me. I'm the scariest guy to walk into the office all day, right? But you get numb to the fact of being willing to ask or, you know, just putting yourself out there, which is really naturally that's hard for me, right?
Me too.
You know,
Me too.
2 shots of whiskey. I'm just kidding. I'm unstoppable. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's the hardest thing is it's intimidating to put yourself out there, to ask for something
It is.
that you feel like 80 other pros just walked in and asked them or they saw an email.
That's what I struggle with is, like, why would I send my resume out? Because I'll probably be the 100th guy that week to send him a resume.
So I don't send them a resume. I wouldn't
I
send
quit.
a resume.
I quit sending. I haven't sent a resume this year.
I'd call or I would drive there
Like,
because no one else is doing that.
I've never made a relationship sending a resume in the last 3 or 4 years.
When I was a kid, I remember I sent a resume to Lake Fork Tackle with my 2 to 3 seasons of Granite City Junior Bassmaster, you know, tournament stuff. They sent me like 20 packs of craw tubes. Yeah. And ring fries.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You were on top of the world, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Then never replied to emails, then went out of business. But, you know, back in the day,
I had the same kind of scenario. This was, oh man, I don't even know. I'm almost 40 now, so probably 15 years ago. I sent an email to, you ever heard of Poor Boy Baits? The Erie Darter?
cut. I said cut. Nope.
I
Never
made
heard of her.
So much money on that darter for years. So what happened was I was
Buy home?
Yeah, so there's a whole story to this. Then we'll get back on topic. I gotta tell this story. So I was at Cabela's one day, and they were like auctioning off their bargain cave. They had like pallets of stuff they were auctioning off. I just happened to walk past, and I'm like, oh, there's like a pallet of fishing stuff here, like trout, bass, like it was all mixed, you know. And people are yelling numbers, so I jumped in an auction. I'm like, I ended up getting like for like $110 a pallet of fishing stuff. There had to be like 400 packs of darters in there from Poor Boy Baits. So like I bought everything, you know, and
You need all of them. They rip pretty good.
I don't have any left, obviously. So
Can I get some super glue, Jim?
next season I start drop shotting them around home, and me
The
and
little
my,
ones.
the 3 inchers, 4 inchers, not the long ones, like they're like that big.
Really?
Yeah. And we started winning like every tournament. Like,
What?
Yeah, it was insane.
See, that's new for me.
That's probably something I shouldn't give out, but whatever. So
I was ready to cut, but then I'm like, wait,
Tell me more.
keep going.
we were winning so much money on it. Then we took it to Minnetonka. We won a few Denny's on it, cashing checks on Denny's with it. And we're making all this money on this little Erie darter. Well, then I run out. You know, I'm like, crap. So I'm like, I can't. I'm broke, I got a pot to piss in, so I'm gonna email Poor Boys if they want to work with me, and they said sure. They sent me a bunch of free stuff and gave me a discount code, so then I'm fishing this Erie darter, but I still couldn't afford to buy the darters from them. So then I made molds of their darters and started pouring my own darters. For like 10 years, I was pouring my own darters. And I don't know
It's
why.
taken like 3 podcasts for you to tell me that you knew how to pour a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I told you I'm secretive. dude.
What else do you pour?
I'm super secretive.
So,
So,
God.
long story
Maybe
short,
you can get it out of them.
for about 10 years, I
You got
fished.
a lot out of me.
I fished this darter on a drop shot for years and years and years, and made tons and tons and tons of money on it. And I don't know why I kind of got away from it. I haven't fished them for the last few years.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Poor,
Noah.
poor boy baits, Erie darter. If anyone wants to try it, give it a shot.
Now, all right, wait, boy, you can take them out of the back room now. God dang it. Well, so Hayden showed me that deal as
Really,
a
did he?
really cold water deal, though.
Oh, I was
on a
all
jig
year
head.
long.
And
On a
see,
football head.
I did that too. So like a form of a jig worm.
yeah,
I was using like a little finesse football head as well.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like when they're eating that blade bait, he'd catch them on that.
Yep.
Hayden, I'm sorry, there's not gonna be any tournaments when that deal's going. So
You ever heard of like the Golby sled? Buckeye made them years ago. I don't know if they still make them.
that flat jig head.
It's like a flat jig head with a screw lock, but it looks like a little mini sled.
Yeah,
Yeah, I put them on that too.
I've never got into them sled heads. You ever?
I mean, it kind of was a phase I went through, but
I've heard them East Coast guys talk about them, like the New York, Pennsylvania.
I mean, I've caught tons of
Delaware
fish
River
on them. But
guys.
it's just I find other things working better now, So like the Ned rig kind of replaced that for me. But yeah, I had tons and tons of money in the Erie darter. I still have the molds at home. I just don't pour them anymore.
Sent a resume in. Got the darters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it all started with a pallet at Cabela's. I was walking by and they're auctioning it off, and it's happened to walk by at the right time, right as the auction was ending, and then there was a couple guys bidding on it. I jumped in and got it for like $110. It's like I had like $150 in my pocket, and I spent 110 of that on that pallet of fish and stuff. Loaded it in my truck and drove home, and yeah, that started like a 10-year long deal of Erie darter for me.
Green pumpkin Erie darter.
So I had tons of different colors, but the best producer was like a green pumpkin with a blue flake.
Mm-hmm.
And like every once in a while you get like a gold strip, a gold flash in it. Oh my God. Amazing.
You brought your fancy pants tonight, Mr. Schultz. Are those flakes? Are those flakes in your pants? Jeez. I thought you just wore black and green pumpkin. I didn't know you. I didn't. If it's a drop shot, then you put the flakes in there.
Oh, I'll get a little fancy with the drop shot.
I mean, green pumpkin blue is kind of green.
Yeah.
That's green pumpkin to me.
But yeah, it's just crazy to like rewind time and think about all the things you use. But that was a huge staple for me for like 10 years.
Nose hook it or?
Yeah, no, so good.
Yeah. What else you making? Ask him what he's making. He doesn't tell me.
I made Senkos for a long time too.
Did you make them like play with the weight of them and make them different?
Yeah, I had a whole formula figured out. So
Sea sand? Put sand in them?
no, not like the sea salt, but sand. Yeah, so it was a very fine sand. It wasn't like the coarse stuff like you would see in a Yamamoto Senko. It was really
Fothergill's got ground up river rocks from Lake Superior in his hand poured Senko. A couple agates in there, add a little extra weight on the tail.
I used to pour my
Backslide
own
that shit.
I used to pour my own swim baits too.
Really?
Yeah, like Meg Draft style. Yeah,
Big ones.
yeah. And I'd nose weight them, so I could do like a line through and stuff in them.
Dude, do you know how long he's been holding out on me like with this? He's like, hey, can you tie me some chickens? I don't know how to make lures. I don't know how to make lures, so I was wondering if you could make a few for me. We need to do a trade now. Now we can do a trade.
I actually gave them all my injection stuff, my plastisol, a lot of my molds I gave to a high school kid around home.
Just as soon as he's about to make a trade. Oh, sold my injector molds actually yesterday to a guy. But
No, I gave them.
that's cool, man.
Yep.
Why'd you give them to him?
Because I got a buddy
Nice
back.
kid.
I got a buddy back home. His neighbor was big into bass fishing. I want to say he's like 10, 11, 12 maybe. And they would fish some Thursday night stuff together. And he was asking me about all these questions about, pouring baits and stuff like that. 'Cause he knew I had done it. So I'm like, well, here, you and your, you and that kid, you guys can start doing them. So now they pour their own Senkos, and they bought some creature bait molds and stuff like that. Now they pour all their own stuff. So
Dude, I'm sad. I need to find somebody who knows how to pour tubes.
Tubes are different.
My favorite tube company, the guy pouring them, got sick.
I think tubes you dip.
They do, yeah.
You dip and dip and
Or
layer.
yeah, sorry,
You layer them.
potato, pour. What I meant was dip.
Yeah.
Dip.
Maybe hollow belly you dip too. I think hollow bellies.
So this is a.
No, I think you can inject tubes. They have like an insert. I don't know. It's changed a lot over the years.
You have no. It's like a test tube. You know, like we used to use in like in science class. It's like that, but on like a flat piece, and then you dip. Those in the wet plastic.
Yep.
And then pull them up and.
Yep.
Do
Same with
something
hollow
with them
bellies.
and-
Hollow bellies you dip over
Yeah.
and over and over. You layer them up.
And then you do so like when you look at like I remember Nick Gross was a tube, got me on a tube. He's a really good tube fisherman, and that's one of my favorite lures as well. But that ISG one, remember it was quadruple dipped, thick.
Quadruple dip.
A zebra mussel could never pierce this tube. They designed this for the Great Lakes. But yeah, they like dip them in layers. So I've got some of most of the colors that I know I need, but there's a Mille Lacs. I've got a tournament on Mille Lacs next year, and
So
I
do I.
need that. I only have 2.
Sign up for the Pro-Am?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
And the
Oh,
team
and
trail's
team
going
trail.
there, too. Yeah.
You fishing team trail? Probably not with the Opens.
not.
No. You won 2 of them last year, didn't you?
My dad won one of them with his buddy. And
Where
then
were you?
I was at.
School?
I think I was at Nationals
You
Pickwick.
were at Nationals,
I was at
yeah.
Pickwick.
Yep, Pickwick.
So you won Leech,
Mm-hmm.
and then your dad won Pokegama?
Mm-hmm.
So where do
But
you
the year
live?
before that,
Grand Rapids.
Which is between both Leech and Pokegama, right?
I live on Pokegama in the summer,
Oh, really?
so yeah.
Oh, I love that lake.
dude, this guy is real good out there. They
I
won
would
on
imagine.
Vermilion the year before, I think.
Really?
Yep. And then you took second on Leech. No.
No, like 6th or something.
You got your fire lit under you about Leech that year.
I did.
That's what probably allowed us to make nationals was you cussing at that lake, maybe.
Oh yeah.
I heard you had you had a big bag on Pokegama or Leech. Which one was it? You had like a giant bag on Pokegama, didn't you? Or your dad did?
23, I think.
On Poke? Yeah, it was 23 something.
23 something.
But what was
and then
second?
21 or 22.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
won by a good amount. He had
Yeah.
a tank, 6
He had
and
a
a half.
6 something, yeah.
6 something.
Jesus. I went out there once with my oldest son, Jenna's son, actually. He's 21 now. 22, 21. We went out there. The last year Champions Tour was there.
Mhm.
We went back probably a month later, real late in the fall, like it was frosting up in the mornings,
Mhm.
and we absolutely destroyed them. Like I think we had 24 and 24.75 or something for our biggest 5, but nothing was over 5. I think our biggest was like a 498.
Mhm.
Like they're all like big 4s. So we probably caught like 50 fish that day. It was an absolute blast.
Damn.
So much fun.
It's a fun lake.
Dane and I had like the in-between thing figured out both tournaments, real good practices both times. Last 2 times I was up there, and it was like the first time the shallow deal that we missed was the deal. So this year we're going to figure out this in-between deal and the shallow deal, and neither were the winning deal, really this year as far as, and in between's a relative term, but
Mhm.
that lake is, I think I finally got it. I wish I could fish a tournament out there as soon as possible.
I want
in
the Champions
summer,
Tour to go back there.
like in August or late July again, because that's the lake I have the biggest probably bone to pick with right now
Just full of
for
fish.
a tournament. It's such a fun lake.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fun lake.
I don't think they could do 65 boats out there.
It
Well, I
just-
guess Team Trail did 80. Right. But Champions
yeah,
Tour
that
has a
was-
lake split.
There's not a lake that I don't think changes like that one, though.
No.
Would you attest to that?
Yeah. That's,
Changes fast.
like seconds fast.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's made you a really good angler as far as like your ADD level of not being willing to stay in one thing too long.
That's probably a big part of it.
Like,
You're right.
A lot of people can't handle that because they're not used to that. Oh, I
Just
need to.
willing to adapt.
Right.
You're right. That's a big part of it.
Yep.
That's why I can't sit still.
You seem like a mellow guy, though. I could see you being like a grinder sitting on one spot for 8 hours making the exact same
Absolutely
cast.
not.
Dude,
Just like his demeanor, you know?
I feel like you could kill his dog like right next to him, and he.
Yeah, just kind of like.
That's
like,
too far.
Once
I love my dog.
That's breaking point for you. That's over the line.
My dog, yes, that'd be over the line.
It's the saddest thing ever for me.
Yeah,
so
yeah, but
okay, so you're not a full-on narcissist. That's good.
no,
That's
but
good.
I could totally see that though. How I could seem chill on the outside, but I promise on the inside I'm spinning all day long. Like, you know, I'm just trying to listen to my gut all day long.
How do you talk to one's gut? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You're not
I feel like a
talking to
lot
it,
of
you're
people
listening to it.
listening to it. Okay, because like,
If it feels right, do it.
yeah. So it's, but a lot of people don't know their own feelings or know themselves, like, you know, how they're feeling, right?
I think they're scared to do it.
You have to trust it. So an
Fear.
example of this is
Fear of it
the
not
day
working
before
out.
I came home for winter break. Me and Nick were doing a tournament on Lay Lake, and we were at like 16.5 pounds, which is usually check range this time of year, but it won't get you the win. So, and we're like a mile away from takeoff, and it's 1:30. We have to be in at 3, and we have this spot that's 15 miles the opposite direction of the ramp that we had found some good ones in practice, and we're fishing around and we're live scoping in the middle of the river. So you just got to hunt them down, you know, and then we're hunting, and just 3-pounder, can't upgrade. And we're just throwing this idea around, and looking back, that voice to change, you should never second guess that voice. To change that you're doing something wrong, you listen to that voice every time.
Does it have different volumes? Because that's the thing I've noticed is like sometimes there'll be like that subtle little, like the guts, like just starting to tickle the gut.
Yeah.
And then there's those like,
but that
turn
voice,
around.
that voice that you
You know?
need to change, you don't second guess that voice.
Sure.
That voice is always right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up making the run. It was about 2:05 when we made the run down 15 miles the opposite direction, and we caught a 4 and a 4 1/4 back to back. Pulled the trailer, went back, we won.
You know, when you talk on the phone and that chick's got like a hot voice, I feel like I wish my gut had like a hot chick voice. It'd be so much easier to listen to her. You know what I mean? If she just, oh man, she sounds so pretty. I just listen to every second of that. I wish my gut's voice sounded prettier. I'd listen to it.
Yeah, think
better,
about
I think.
when you're in practice, like you're freed up.
Mm-hmm.
You've got no obligation that day, but to try everything that you think would be good, like your gut's telling
Gut.
you. And then it usually works in practice. That's why your
It
practice
has to be
is
the
so
same
good.
as tournament day.
But in tournament day, you're so obligated to what you did in practice, and you don't want to experiment because of the fear of losing.
And that's what you can't have.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you get locked into things that aren't working.
Yeah, I feel like I almost over-experiment in practice
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
and probably under-experiment tournament day.
Yeah.
To your point.
Yeah.
That's
A
an
lot of people,
interesting. Yeah.
The fear of losing keeps you from experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Team trail, maybe not so much.
5-fish tournaments is easier to experiment, in my opinion.
Yes, I feel like I have time to experiment.
Yes.
Champs Tour, like you have this looming, ticking, like there's your gut that's like this, you know, semi-hot chick, like kind of like talking up to you, but you've got this loud
Yeah, I could see that.
with the clock that's louder, so you have to like tune that louder clock out to like, right, Noah? How do you do that? That's like you've
The
got
problem-
that figured out.
Well, that's why if you look at my finishes overall, they're up here or they're down here.
No. Up here or a little bit below that. Like you don't. Big Stone was the first time I've ever seen you
I bombed.
stumped, and I really, you were my pick for that one. I thought you were going to mess us up,
I
kind
had
of like
good
a Rush
practice.
Lake scenario
Yeah, I had a good practice there too.
on Big Stone.
Yeah.
I knew
shouldn't
you
say-
had a good
I
practice
shouldn't say
because you're like,
good.
oh man, I'm fucked.
Well, I
When I talk to him.
shouldn't say good, but I had areas that if they went off, I would have a good tournament. But I know
That's how I
that
felt.
never happens like that in tournament. Like
Seems
rarely
to for you.
like I can look back
Shit
at all.
goes down for you, bro.
Well, usually because I figured it out during the day. East West
Sure,
Rush is the
sure.
only exception. That's the only tournament that I can think of on the Champions Tour that actually went how I imagined it going.
Really?
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Otherwise, like I'm just figuring it out as the day is unfolding in front of me.
Do you imagine different ways it could go?
Yeah, I think a tournament can be won many different ways.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I always try to picture
Yeah.
not one way.
No.
Because when I picture the one way, I'm in real big trouble.
Yeah.
Some people do really well with the one way thing. Like, man, I only like it doggy style, and that's the way we're gonna do it. Okay. Like, there's people who are that way. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Like, usually, like, if you can go into
Yeah,
that
right?
tournament,
Yeah.
You need another Tony?
No.
if you go into that tournament day and things go down like you perceive them to go down, or how your practice went, you have an epic tournament, right? But rarely does that happen. It hardly ever happens the way you hope or think it will happen. And when it does, all the stars align, then you blow it out of the water, you know?
Yeah.
Like an east-west rush kind of a deal.
How about you?
Same exact way. The best tournaments are when you figure it out on that day.
Yeah.
But when going into a tournament, do you draw lines? Because you can get pretty crazy if you want to, right? So do you draw boundaries to what?
No.
I'll
No
try
bounds.
anything during a tournament.
I get made fun of every morning because I got as many rods out as I can fit, and I usually don't know where I'm starting until I launch.
I'm the same way.
I love that.
Rarely do I know where I'm going to start.
Mhm.
Rarely.
I usually do. So that's why I want to talk about that a little bit. How do you get yourself to not know?
It's the conditions of the day.
That's
like,
to the extent of the open mind.
But
you
it's
have
the
to have.
morning. And for me, it's like, okay, if it's kind of like this kind of weather in the morning, I think, this would be a good option. And then maybe I'll have like two other options based on if like that just doesn't feel right.
yeah. I mean,
Or it's between a couple areas, and I don't know which one, but I pick one.
you have spots that you've practiced where you know fish are and
Mhm.
is a good area, but rarely do I get locked into like I'm starting on this spot.
Yeah.
Like I always like ease off, man. Where am I going? What am I gonna do? Like whitefish was a perfect example. Like
Yeah, that was cool.
I started in rush. Was that rush on whitefish?
Yeah, you did.
I had
And
no
that-
idea.
You weren't
I was
planning
going
to?
there. No, I'm just going.
But you also told me you weren't on them for Big Stone, and you just had a decent practice. But
well, I had two good areas, but
I never tell people I'm on them if I'm on them. It's a kiss of death. So
but that's
get
why
it.
I said I had good practice. I only
Yeah.
had two good areas, and I know odds are neither one of them are going to fire, and they didn't.
Got it.
So-
So back to whitefish. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So I'm going through the no wake, planning on going into upper and lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going planning in there, going to fish shallow. I'm going through the channel. It's cloudy and it's windy, and I'm like, them shallow fish ain't gonna go. They need sun. So I'm like, looking over at Rush. There's a big main lake point. Well, I caught some fish further down the weed line in practice. A little wad, a little wolf pack of them. I'm like, wind's pounding on the side of this point. I'm like, just hang it right. Start 150 yards from where I'd caught those fish, where the wind is hitting. I start fishing the windy side of the point. Sure enough, I land on top of them more or less. And I start fishing around. I find a school during the tournament, and I light them up during the tournament. Never fished there. Never made a cast there in practice.
Dude, and see, that's crazy because I also didn't start shallow. Didn't want to. Didn't make any sense to
No, yeah.
in my mind, right?
But I had nothing else to go to.
But I had wads, and I know Crankbait's had a good practice in a
Yeah, that's
similar
what he was
area.
saying, yeah.
Dane had a good practice in a similar area. We went there. None of us caught him. So that is like why I'm like, golly, what?
That's why I would have big
How
stone.
does that work? The only difference I think is I wasn't cranking, and I think
The fish were up. You could see them on live. They were up.
Walker, Dane, the fish were up. We done fucked up.
Well, that's why I decided to crank, because I could pan around a few times. I kept seeing fish up and up on top of the flats, not on the edge.
See, we had really thick coontail to deal with.
Side scattered
Yeah, that was
and thin.
that was. See, I learned something there, dude, and that makes a ton more sense. And I can think of now that area, two locations that I could have gone to have more scattered. So that's cool. Like, because your gut, if it would have been thick, how would you have? Was that part of why you did that?
Did you
Cloudy,
go there because it was
grass?
scattered, or just
I
because the
didn't
wind
know
was
it was
blowing
scattered.
on
I
it?
never fished
Just-
it before.
just 'cause the wind was
fished it
blowing
because
on
of the
it.
wind was blowing on
Okay.
it. So I don't know how it makes
The wind was. It was the same.
It was a big main lake point like this, right?
Wind was blowing the same on our stuff too.
It was a huge main lake point. So here's your point like this, right? And then made a turn, a huge inside or a huge main lake point, and then turn and went that way down this straight weed line. And in practice, I caught a few in this inside corner, but the wind's pounding on the point right here.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, instead of going to this corner here where it's kind of calm,
Mm-hmm.
I'll hit this main lake point on the wind blowing side of the point and just work my way into that corner, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And I put down, started working my way on the weed line, made about 5 or 6 casts, like a 2-pounder, and I started seeing fish in the live. And then I caught a 314 on that Bagley and kept working my way down and kept catching fish on the crank. And then I started to locate pods of them with a live.
You never left Rush.
No, I stayed there. Because I kept, and then I would get to the inside corner, and then like what I thought in my mind, those fish weren't in the inside corner because it wasn't windy enough. The fish were in the wind.
Yeah, yeah.
So I pulled from more up, went back up around to the other side of the point, worked my way down, and then this side of the point where the wind wasn't hitting, there wasn't any fish over here. But as soon as you got back to the tip, you started seeing fish in the live again. You started catching fish. So then I just, kept working back and forth, chasing fish with my live.
So, like, this bar's the point, right? Were those... So, like, largemouth, typically, they seem to sit on the backside of stuff for ambushing. And when smallmouth would typically be out
They were
in the wind.
They were in the wind.
Cool. Okay.
But I think the reason they were in the wind because there wasn't grass to hold them there.
The grass was...
It was just really thin and scattered.
Sure. It's tall or...
No, it wasn't.
Short, shitty grass.
Yeah, garbage grass.
Garbage grass. Like, it wasn't even good
It
grass?
It was a coontail in the beginning stages. It wasn't really growing up yet.
Sure.
So they were strictly there because of the wind in your mind.
Yeah, in my mind, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I could look back at Leech, the one term I fished on Leech for the Champions Tour. I'm driving past. I don't want to get too specific, but I'm driving past an area. I had one bite in practice, and that morning I had that bite in practice. It was calm, and I had it on a plopper, and I was pretty sure it was a smallmouth come up and blow up on my plopper. I'm like, oh, looks like a good area. Why weren't there more fish here? So then nothing, whatever. Tournament day, it's blowing, and then it's pounding into this point, pounding in there, like 3-footers, 4-footers. I drive past it in the afternoon. I'm driving past. I get past the point. I'm looking. I get about a mile past that point. Whippy come back to that point. I'm like, the wind's pounding in on there. If there's gonna be fish there, it's gonna be now or never. Sure enough, there was like 50 pounds of bass sitting there, just waylaid on the entire second period.
I just have one question. Have you ever done ayahuasca?
What's ayahuasca?
Okay. Because I feel like you're on some, like, Native American, like I don't know what kind of voice your gut has, but you and your gut have a nice healthy relationship. Because that's cool.
Yeah.
Have you, like, can you attribute any, like, I've had weird stuff.
Well, it's the
like
same thing like you just explained.
But I'm not as free. I'm not as free.
Huge run.
I'm more calculated, I'd say, which is probably a downfall.
You were willing to lose on that risk of making that run because you knew if you made it and it worked, you were going to win.
We actually interrupted him on that, didn't we? Did you finish that yet? That story?
The Lay Lake story?
Yeah.
Yeah, we made the run, caught 2 big ones, and ran back and we won.
Yeah.
How far was that?
15 miles?
15 miles. So it was 30 more minutes of running. So we had like 15 minutes to fish there. So our decision was to run there, have 15 minutes to fish in that spot, or we could have, an hour in this area where we know there's big ones here.
That's such a cool...
But, I asked Nick, I was like, what are you thinking? What's your gut saying? He's like, dude, I think we do it. And I was pull the troller and
So you
go.
guys talked that time.
we did talk that time. We did talk that one through.
That's great.
Because
That's wonderful.
So the pulling troll more up making the run.
No,
they texted each other. Do you think we should leave now? Or?
But no, that was definitely that was the most recent.
That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Dane and I won a tournament doing that, but we had a spawner up there. Like we knew it wasn't leaving a circle.
That spot is the spot.
Much easier to make that decision.
That's the spot we went to. Is the spot we had just came from to come here. But so here's.
So you left that spot and you went back to it.
We left that spot.
That takes balls.
That far.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time. I didn't have any college tournaments that last month. I spent a lot of time on lay just trying to learn live scope stuff a little more, and the amount I learned and how much timing it is, it's unbelievable. Like there was one day where there was, how it's partly cloudy. There's like literally like ball-shaped clouds in the sky. Every single time one of those balls of clouds would go over the sun, the spots would go to bottom like snap of a finger. And and they'd be on bottom. And as soon as the sun hit directly on the water, back on the surface, you'd watch them. And in my areas, there was so much drum on the bottom, and I don't know where the spots go on the bottom, but they're gone. But it's literally a snap of a finger. You can watch them come up, and they're just everywhere on the surface.
That's awesome.
Dude.
I had never seen anything like. I've seen that multiple times now, but that was. I mean, you can literally go from 0 to 18 in 5 minutes. Like, that's how fast they go from bottom to the surface. And now I'm trying to figure out how to catch them on the bottom because I cannot figure that out. I don't know where they go.
Dude, that's so crazy. And I wonder how much that plays because, so when I was a kid, I didn't have a trolling motor yet. I was still mowing lawns to save up for my first trolling motor. So I couldn't move around much on the horseshoe chain. But I remember I was sitting in the back of a bay once, and it was a partly cloudy day, just like you're talking. And, you know, I'm anchored down, throwing around for some bass. I'm 10 years old or whatever. And, like, it would get cloudy. I'd catch them. I remember this because I was sitting in the same spot, so I can make those types of observations, which I think I miss nowadays because I'm moving around a little bit more or whatever. Some would come out, nothing. And I was throwing a weightless tube was like a little deal that I had when I was 10 years old. Loved that thing. Read about it in some Bassmaster magazine and whatever. Spots, that's where you've noticed it? Mm-hmm. Have you where else? So since and that epiphany.
The most interesting part about that is the shad doesn't move. They literally leave the giant balls of shad and go to the bottom.
You think it's because they can see them better and target them with the sun?
I would think so, but...
You think about if you turn the lights on and off.
Yeah.
Do you and their eyes are obviously different than ours.
Yeah, but you would probably magnify that in the water. Like, it would be darker if it's cloudy in the water, the deeper you go especially, too. So if the sun comes up, maybe they rise up because they can see. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just thinking.
I have seen what you're talking about with walleyes, so I mean, it makes sense.
I think sun and clouds dictate the fishing
level in the
day.
water column. Is that right?
I feel like it dictates the fishing in the day more than probably anything. Sun and clouds. I feel like weather, sun, clouds.
That's something I overlooked for a long time, and since like I definitely agree.
Yeah,
100%.
Like people like I know like Thompson and those guys are big on moon phases and stuff like that. But I feel like weather, sun, clouds. Like if those three things change throughout the day, it probably dictates what you should do more than any other factor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's vermilion, I'm going to say wind over everything.
See, I
unlike that,
probably
that's
agree with
smallmouth
that.
in general, I would say.
Wind.
See, I don't have much experience with
really?
smallmouth.
Because see,
I'm talking like how I fish, like largemouth. I don't have very much experience with smallmouth.
That's where I really started to make like aside from that little, spell in the anchor boat when I was a kid, the pattern I've been able to, like smallmouth wise. Largemouth, there's a little bit to it too, but smallmouth, I definitely felt like the sun puts them more on top of structure and
sure.
off the bottom.
For sure.
And the clouds typically put them more on the edge of something and tighter to bottom. Those were like the... Mm-hmm. So depending on what type of lake you fish, some lakes, the sun would position them in a better spot. Other lakes, I would like it cloudy because I felt it positioned those fish better.
Okay, the one time I fished tournament out there, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is what I noticed when I was there.
Well, he'll tell you.
When it was like cloudy, the bait bite was really good. But when it got sunny, it seemed like they didn't want to chase the smelt as much.
They're on perch.
Is that me?
Mm-hmm.
That's like I noticed that like in the first couple days of practice, like right away.
See, the perch thing is an interesting denominator. I've definitely noticed sunny craw, cloudy bait.
And the perch population out there the last couple of years, it's booming.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Do you know how many perch I caught on a spy bait in one day?
You put it down because you caught so many on it. I know you did.
Well, Pike bit it off before I put it down.
That's the other one.
I put it down because I lost $14.
$14.
But no, it's... Oh, man. And I think that's why there's so many more staying shallow now, is just because there's so many perch up on those flats.
I heard the smelt isn't what it used to be either out there.
There was a big die-off 8 years ago.
So we were there...
4 or 5.
So 4 or 5 years ago, Championship.
Yeah.
Were you fishing it then?
Nope, that's how I know it was. Because I'm on this will be year 4 for me. 4 for me.
Yeah, because I felt like the smelt was pretty... Like there was a lot of smelt when I was there. There were huge balls everywhere. But I'm not used to.
I don't know if they're shiners or smelt is a big thing, but I think I saw.
I guess
when
I
I
don't
went
know
back
either.
up on my mission, I feel like I saw.
There's a lot of shiners too. It could
Is
be.
that you think
I don't know.
that's what it is?
There's
It was like
shiners.
30, 40 foot of water, and there was
Yeah, huge
bait
everywhere.
from
top to
top to
20
bottom
foot
on
count.
this little hump. And there's
could be
everything
both.
on it: pike, walleye, smallies,
Such a cool
all
lake.
of it.
It's probably
Gordon Fothergill would have caught all of them.
But no, it's definitely a training ground for adapting to conditions for sure. They change so fast, so fast.
Dude, I'm impressed with the balls to run a half hour to fish. Like, that's something Dane and I, like that NABC we won was that, but it was on a bed. But there's been so many, we're very time conservative, you know? That is a factor for us, is lure in the water. And I think we maybe let that blind our gut a little bit.
Yeah, but there's truth to
hearing
that
him,
though, too.
But, I mean, like, talking to a guy like Andy Walls, like, that guy's a guy who will make a run. And, like, we're sometimes a little intimidated by that, you know?
I didn't realize how fast he fishes until I listened to that last podcast.
Dude,
Like,
he's
I
got
didn't
a
know he
very
was-
unique, cool fishing style.
Buzz
You
bait.
fished against him for a while,
Mhm.
Andy.
Mhm.
It's very unique.
Him and Gordon are the reason Andy started fishing for smallmouth, because they're the guys who made him start doing it, because Andy, like, he's kind of like the guy up. There's a few guys, but he's the guy who'd do really well in largemouth on Pokegama, and that river used to play a lot more.
I wish it would more.
Well, you gotta turn the heat up on that pond up there.
Yeah, we do.
You gotta turn that heat up there.
Yeah.
That's why, right?
Me and Andy are actually, yeah, it is why.
That and weigh-ins. I mean,
Yeah. But we were actually talking on the phone like 2 weeks ago now, and we were talking about what our styles of fishing, and the way he put it is I fish the same exact style as him, just 10 feet deeper.
Him and I had that exact. That's what he said to me too.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because we fish together now.
Mhm.
And that's what we came up with. Yeah,
It's really interesting.
it is. But I think there's a little more to it than that.
Yeah, but overall,
Overall, you're very interesting to me, Noah. What's your perception of Noah? Like, his perception of you is you're basically,
stare at my screens. And
Live
yeah,
scope
you're
guru.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the live scopes.
My perception of Noah. I know he's a dirty water guy.
Dirty.
My perception is he's a power fishing, dirty water, cover water type of guy. Big line, big stuff like that. That's my
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, and mine is the same, but then I look at your finishes. Smallmouth. Camping on a spot for way longer than anybody else would have.
Yeah.
And then pulling the trolling motor up and down faster than anybody else would have. And then hanging a 80,000 pounds worth of salad off your half-cocked trolling motor between the next dock.
I won chasing smelt on Pokegama too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess the perception of dirty water southern boy fishing is there's some truth to that, but
That's where I'm comfortable and confident. Is there?
no confidence on smallmouth to just throw an A-rig and pray to the ayahuasca gods.
That was a swimmer.
Swimmer. Yeah.
Swimmer.
What's your guy? You guys have like a go-to swim bait?
Yeah.
Like soft paddle tail?
Oh, talk about the glide baits. I rarely throw a swim bait on like a spinning rod. Rarely.
Oh, so that was
like a one-time deal for me.
so Pokegama was a glide bait.
No, that was a swimmer.
Oh, that was a swimmer.
Yeah.
Kitech Easy Shiner.
Yeah, that was like a one-time deal. I really haven't fished it much since then.
You
Easy
get
shiner.
Easy Shiner. I like that Easy Shiner.
That's what I was throwing.
Yeah. But glide baits a little bit. Last time I talked to you, you didn't say much about glide baits besides you wanted to play with them more. And now, before the podcast started, you're like, yeah, that one's a really good one. So you picked up the glider.
I have a little bit. I'm still way down here. I want to be way up here. I'm still definitely lots to learn.
Well, Waypoint, they just got some fancy one in that you guys.
DRT
What was that thing called?
Clash. Tiny Clash. Do they have a Clash 9 or just Tiny Clash?
I just saw their post. It was Tiny Clash. I didn't see anything.
Sold out
It's
already?
probably the more popular one. I would
It is,
assume.
yeah.
Sold out yet? Do you know?
I'm sure they don't.
They made a post saying it's selling like
Probably.
crazy, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were.
Tiny Clash out, gone.
I would
Yeah.
imagine so. I haven't fished any Tiny Clashes yet, but they're more of a reactive glide.
Mm.
More of I would compare like a Hinkle or like a Depths 250 to a drawing glide.
Yep, they got
Or-
them depths ones.
Yeah.
There.
So like a DRT would be like your reactive, like a jerk bait kind of reaction, kind of a bite.
Chopping, more
Very,
of a chopping bait.
very choppy. Yes.
Noah educated me on this last time. He's
very
like, "That's
choppy.
not a glide bait. That's a chopping bait."
Yeah, there's the difference. You have like
That's a fucking
structure
glide bait.
glides and like you have like cover like what I have like two categories of glides that I use. Like you have like a cover glide and you have like a structure glide. That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
a Depths 250 would be a big wide glide. You would want to throw like over a rock pile or like on a ledge or
You'd also want to use
Over
the
a
code
flat.
Galaxy 20 to save quite a few shekels on a big bait like that.
yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. But yeah, so I've been fishing a Depths 250 for a long time, and it's not you can, but it takes a lot of practice. They're hard. It's really hard to grasp how big a Depths 250 is, like compared to like a KGB Chad. Yeah.
Exhibit A.
It feels like you're throwing that, but like I would say most people know the size of a Chad because it's become very popular. And to me, that's not a big bait. A Chad's not a big bait.
I think it's the biggest one I own.
It was
Size
for
of
me
To
too.
me-
2-inch mag drive.
To me,
I
a
guess.
Chad would be like a numbers glide to catch more fish and get more bites.
I'm throwing the numbers glide bait. I got it for big ones. Like,
Like
you're
a-
telling me
A Depths 250 is big. That's
it's a big fish bait.
that's a big bait. I want to say it's a 10-inch glide.
What color? You like carpy color? I feel like
Flash
a
carp's really good.
Flash carp.
I have nude black. I fish a lot of nude black around home because we have dirty water.
Yep.
So black really stands up. But flash carp's really good. Nude black is people don't really talk about that one a whole lot because you think live bait, you think clean, clear water. But if you're fishing more of a stained water, don't be scared to try that nude black. And you can usually get those a little cheaper because they're not as desired.
Yeah.
And I know like Butch Brown's come out with a lot of new colors lately, so there's a lot of different colors you can try. But typically when you're fishing glides, you're going more. You have two ends of the spectrum: really natural or obnoxious. That's like how I fish my glides, and a lot of people do too. Like your white and your bones, blacks, or match the hatch, really natural.
Which ones have you been like? Them Southern boys are. You exchanged a few 6-pound test spools for some glide bait lessons? or?
Most of those guys won't pick up a 6-pound test. But,
No, I know,
But
but you're picking up a glide. That's why you're Easton Fothergill.
I'm trying it. It's something I gotta learn.
What's do you have confidence in any yet? Like specific ones or?
The Chad a little bit. What's the other one? A clutch, an OG clutch I got. That's been.
Are you hands on one of them?
Mm-hmm.
I paid a pretty penny for that, I bet.
Actually, I bought it off a kid on the team for not that much.
Really?
Kind of stole it off him.
Swindled them.
Yeah, but that one's been good to me. But just you see so many fish, and I'm just struggling with the commitment part. And I think a lot of it's timing. But
So that's another thing people don't understand about glide bait fishing. It's so before live scope, you didn't know. You'd have some followers to the boat,
Right. Right.
But like if I go out glide bait fishing, I might have 100. I might raise 100 fish, and I might convert 1 or 2 of them. So it's not what social media portrays it to be, and it could just be a Minnesota thing, like where the areas I fish, or maybe it's because we don't have shad stuff like that, especially gizzard shad.
You throw it in front of a big walleye.
Oh,
I'll
I've caught-
freaking
I've
swim
caught
15
so
foot
many-
for that thing.
I've caught so many big walleyes.
Tell
on glide bait.
Gordon. Tell Gordon that he needs to start
Seriously.
gliding them walleyes. They come unglued.
I've caught so many big walleyes on a glide.
That's all I can catch with it. I put it down.
Yep. But you
Anyway.
raise so many fish on them that you do not catch.
I can't imagine like how them Californians used to throw them big swimmers all day. Just
But they got trout eaters too. Like they have trout
Right.
in their lakes. They have big gizzard shads, and we don't. We have bluegills and little perch and stuff like that.
right. Well, we were talking about something interesting with dinner, and you guys each had a little nugget with a snap. That,
Oh, yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys each utilized a snap a little bit differently, and I guess if we're cool with giving that up, to me, I thought that was really cool.
I'll give up anything on a glide because I know it takes a special person to fish a glide.
He knows you pussies ain't gonna throw it anyway. No. So you throw a snap on a glide.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Always.
Nothing without one.
Nope.
See, I was throwing my Chad Shad without a snap, which makes sense why all them walleyes were biting. A little stiffer action, you know?
I guess with me, it's not a snap, it's a split ring on a mag draft. Just for more head wobble.
So how much of a difference do you think that makes in the action? Like quite a bit?
You can definitely feel it on your rod a lot more, so I would think the fish can feel it that much more.
It frees it up
Yeah.
for more movement. It's the same concept as the VMC ringed hook.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And especially with the glide, that's really important with the glide because it allows a head to turn even further, which more head turn equals a bigger glide.
Right. With the JDM tackle craze in full force, there's been a lot of hype around the new tackle shop, Waypoint Angler Supply, and their unique selection of intergalactic fishing equipment. But don't forget about your everyday bassin needs, whether it's hooks, weights, fishing line, tackle storage, reels, rods, craw tubes, beavers, jigs, spinnerbaits, jackhammers, frogs. You never have to pay full price again. There's not that many places that will give you 20% off a new Shimano reel or a new Veselka rod. On a big ticket item like that, 20% savings is a good chunk of change. You can then take that 20% and put some gas in your boat, or you can take that 20% you saved and put it into a Roth IRA. Warren Buffett that shit, which in a year's time, you just paid for that new rod and reel. It's simple math and science. As a bastronaut in the Bass Galaxy, you can save 20% on all the stuff you use every day at Waypoint Angler Supply. Do you ice fish? Do you do the ice Dougie? Do you do the ice fishing? Well, you can knock 20% off all your ice season goodies at Waypoint Angler Supply too. Who's got you covered no matter the season. So stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Use the code GALAXY20 to save 20% on all your everyday tackle needs, ladies and gentlemen. World champion barbecue born in the pits of Memphis, Tennessee, family owned and located just north here in Minnesota. Just north of Memphis, barbecue, ladies and gentlemen. One look at their trophy room and one taste of their barbecue is all it takes to know it's the very best. But the J&O story runs much deeper than that, and bringing people together, whether it's friends, family, or fishing buddies, with some mouth-watering smoked barbecue, that's what they're all about, which is about as American as it gets. If you smoke meat, if you like to grill meat, if you like to cook meat, you need to try the J&O Memphis Dry Rub Seasoning, which will enhance your barbecue game instantaneously. Also, voted world's best sauce in 2022. You can bring this right to your kitchen table. They've got 3 flavors, and each one is better than anything you'll find in the supermarket. Let's take things up a notch this summer. You can order their dry rub and world-famous barbecue sauce right on their website. Visit jnomemphis.com. That's jnomemphis.com. Or visit their Facebook page for food truck locations and schedule. Barbecue.
I'm Johnny B with Just North of Memphis Barbecue, and I approve this message.
Right.
Your line doesn't restrict the movement.
See, that's like gangster little tricks.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's cool stuff. You guys have any other weird little simple modifications that seem to make a big difference for you?
Yeah. If people listening want to get into big glide bait fishing, you're going to have a lot of swipes. A lot of ones knock your bait and not hook up. And to help, curb that, what you can do is on the front hook tie a feather. It gives us something to target, and you will not believe how many more you will convert and hook them on that front hook.
Huh.
It gives them a target.
See, that's exactly what I had going on at Pickwick. I would have literally schools of 50 of them on ledges come up to the glide, and I would have 3 or 4 swipes on the way back, and then I'd get them all the way to the boat, and they'd be just freaky big ones, like 4 to 6 pounders.
So if you tie, so like a lot of times I'll tie a white feather on that because then it really pops and it gives something to target. Like I know guys will want, some guys like tying red feathers and stuff like that, but I like the white feather, especially like on a Depths 250 or a Hinkle with a really big bait, and their hooks can be 6 inches apart sometimes, and you'd still think like, how can you miss it, you know? But you miss more than will hook up with it. Tie that feather on the front treble, so that way if they do hook up, that back treble will swing around and get them on the outside.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I even have some photos. You can see it like.
What hooks do you run on your glides?
Owners.
Have you messed with that quad one at all?
Decoy
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Stay
I got
away.
a couple of that.
Stay away from.
You don't like it?
No.
A lot of guys at school are throwing those, and I just don't see it.
No.
The
Hook
barb
up's
is
horrible.
the barb is small, and then the angle of that hook was my two biggest
Yeah.
concerns with it. I like
Especially with one swiping at it. It's
totally. The thing I liked about it was the swivel aspect of it. The fact that it's got that built-in swivel, but a lot of these swim baits have that built in already on them big swim
I'm not a
baits,
fan
you know?
of. I guess I've only tried the decoy quads. I haven't tried anything else outside of any other quad hooks.
I really like them little decoy quad hooks for a blade bait.
I have horrible hookup. That's but for glide baits I do anyways. Horrible hookup.
I think everybody does. I think, but
On
like
glides?
I don't know.
No,
I was more
so-
talking. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off like that, but like
No,
once I hook the fish, it'll come off on a quad.
Oh yeah.
Like typically on a glide, if you hook a fish, 99% of the time he's coming to the boat.
Sure.
But with them quads, you'll get them like
Kinda
halfway.
like a plopper.
Yeah, like you just,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think about, but like you think trebles, you think low hookup percentage and all that, big rods. Like if you hook up on a fish with on a glide, you get them to the boat most of the time. But yeah, quads for glides, I'm not a big fan. It could just be me. It could be my rod I'm using. It could be all sorts of other things.
I've only noticed on a blade bait because Hayden ties braided split rings for his trebles, and I'm kind of lazy, so I just buy them quads and put them on the split rings. But what I noticed is like when that fish twists a quad, it puts the other hook. right? They can't.
Yeah.
If they twist it out, they're getting another one in them. It seems like as long as the points are sharp, them quad hooks are, I guess, what I like on them blade baits. So I changed
Try
those
that.
out.
You
but-
tried them on crankbaits?
No, but I mean, I can imagine a flat side scenario where they're, a little less committal and
But
that being a big factor. That's what I got them for originally was Hartwell, for throwing the get on small shad in December, and I was trying to anticipate that a little bit.
See, my thought with those quad hooks is, so your thought is more hooks points the better.
When it twists, it puts another one in them. That's where my thoughts is.
So my thought was, my reasoning in my brain was why I was losing those fish is that there's too many hook points. Instead of having one hook penetrate, I'm trying to force two to penetrate.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's like
On a big hook, we're talking
Yeah.
big hook, small hook too. I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
like number 6, number 8. Like
Yeah.
small hook. Small.
I'm throwing
hooks.
like two
You're
quads.
we're talking
Yeah.
about a big claw here.
Yeah. So that was my reasoning why they weren't hooking up, and I got a ton of them, and I'm never going to use them.
Well, there's not much of a barb on them. On that big one. On the regular decoys, decent barb. Don't have an issue.
Yeah.
Potato. We're
Yeah.
getting in the weeds a little
I
bit.
think what works for an individual works for them because they got a different hook set, they have a different rod. Every person needs to explore and experiment with their own things to find out what works for them.
Especially a chatterbait. There's 8. We talked about this before. There's 8 million chatterbait rods, but it is weird how people set the hook different.
Yeah.
How do you set the hook? Do you give her? How do you set? I watched you set the hook with a spinning pole, and I think you got embarrassed a few times.
What?
I think you had an awkward one.
I did have an awkward one.
I think you were like your rod was up here and then it bit, and you're
Yeah.
like, shit.
Yep. But it depends on the scenario, really.
Yeah.
For current, if you whack them, you're gonna lose them every single time.
See, I know he whacks them, and I'm a pull setter. Like I'm
Spinning rod, I reel set.
okay.
Bait
Yep.
caster, I crack them.
But you use braid to leader.
No.
No, straight
Straight
fluoro,
fluoro.
you crack them.
On bait caster, straight fluoro, spinning, braided leader, reel in.
Spinning, I never reel set.
I always reel set with
You
everything.
snap set.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's not snap set. It's just pressure and then just hit them.
See, I load
See,
my
that's
rod.
kind of a pull set, but
I
it's
guess.
a little bit. It's kind of like
it's a step up, I guess.
yeah.
But
Everyone has their own. That's why, like, if someone were to ask you, well, what hook is good or what rod should I use for a drop shot, it might differ because, like, I'll reel
different
set
hook sets.
and you set the hook, and you might have a medium heavy. or a medium, and I'll have a medium light.
See, I feel like you could give me 5 different drop shot rods and I'll be fine with them. Like, I don't have an issue.
What do you like? So what, medium probably? Are you a medium guy for a drop shot?
Medium or medium light, fast or extra fast. I haven't had an issue.
I tend to like light stuff for my spinning.
Yeah, medium light for everything. I hate mediums.
Light?
I like light rods for
Like
spinning.
medium
stuff.
light or light?
Medium light, probably.
Me too. I can't
He's
stand
all
mediums.
medium light. But it's like everybody's medium light's a little different. One company's medium
Yeah,
light's
that's
like
true.
medium heavy for another.
Yeah.
One man's Senko rod is another man's flipping rod.
When you mentioned Hayden's braid thing, it made me think for spy baits, I double split ring both my hooks and one split ring on the eye hook, or the eye of the bait, I guess.
Okay.
To keep them hooked up better?
I did do the
Yeah,
braid thing, but
that
I
makes
would catch like 20 fish, and then my braid would come out. I was doing something wrong with the braid deal. Like the braid would break or something.
I tried
don't know.
that. I couldn't.
Such a small hook with that, and you've got the loop on that spy bait. It's got a edge to it.
Really?
You know, it's a bent loop on the back that hook fastens
yeah,
to.
yeah.
So you think that braid is a loop, and it's thin. It probably frayed up on that.
Yeah.
Would be my thought.
It was 2 summers ago. I was losing so many. I think it's a lot. I think spy bait's super important with the rod.
That technique, yes. Drop shot, not as
No,
much for
no.
me. Spy bait,
Spy bait, it's super particular.
that you can lose them really
Do
easy.
you use that hair rod for throwing spy? You do?
That's what I use. Yeah, I like it. Or 7.6 medium light Synchro Avid. That's like an old school one that I used to throw hair on that throws hair like dog shit. But the Dane's hair rod's the best for little swim bait, little hair jig, spy
But you
bait.
can bomb a spy bait with
That's
that rod.
what's good about it. It's almost like
Too far.
yeah. It's like I'll see you in 10 minutes.
I couldn't believe how far I could throw hair with that rod.
It's unbelievable.
That blew my mind.
You've probably heard about it.
I've
but
heard all about it.
I let you touch one.
I played with it.
I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of everything. But yeah, I'd let you try one out. Champions Tour.
Yeah, you and Dane both gave me each of your rods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you like the reel on that.
I disappeared
and
for
I
like
didn't
6
love the reel
hours.
on that one. Besides the weight of that reel, I don't like that.
I couldn't like what I liked, which you guys don't talk about ever, what my favorite part of the rod beyond the casting is how when you load into that fish, the whole rod loads.
Parabol. Yeah.
The whole rod. So you got light line, you don't have to worry about. The rod fights the fish for
You
you.
got 8 foot of that.
You got 8-foot rubber band.
That's exactly what you need for the spy baits. When I
Like it
jump and
is.
stuff.
It was so much fun that day.
That's why I got 2 of those because, like, in a scenario where it's late July, I want a spy bait and a hair jig, depending on what day it is, you know? So, yeah, you can pre-order him still. I think I think he's getting another batch in, but, like,
They probably don't last long, do they?
no, dude, it's a good rod. It's good for so many, like,
That'd be good for Pokegama.
do you know how many people
Swimmers.
don't throw a lure because they cuss at it too much? Like, that's why that rod's awesome, is like that lure that you've always wanted to throw a bunch, but just piss you off, and you can
Yeah.
only throw it for 3 casts because you threw it 15 and a half feet. But I think the guides make a big difference with the cast due to how flimsy the rod is. I think it allows the line.
Like slingshot.
Well, you're shooting a ball through a basket, and it's a bad analogy, but like when that rod's, it's got whip, so when that rod's following through, it's moving. It's not stiff enough to go. So that causes that line to go like this, right? And so if you have small guides,
You get line slap.
you get, blank slap the line, and it causes what they call resistance. Or drag, so to speak. Yeah. But, yeah, dude, that rod is...
I had a blast that day.
Rod's gangster.
It is. That was
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Opens a little bit. What you got to be chomping at the bit for Leech. There's a lot of talk about Leech Lake up here and how that's going to fish, because, I mean, you're one of the few guys, I think, that made it look easy. I think you outfished everybody last July, and we took second, but we did not get the amount of bites you did. And I guess for me, those fish should be dumber than they are, in my opinion.
They are not dumb.
I know.
I don't know what it is out there.
Why? Like, I was going to ask you why the hell that is, because those bastards are not easy to catch. I feel like they're almost harder than Mille Lacs fish almost.
Oh,
like,
100%.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I've spent a lot of time out there the last 2 summers, and the thing I have been amazed about is it's a way better fishery than I ever thought it was. Like, way better.
Right.
Like, there's big ones in there and a lot of them.
Right.
But
right.
they are so hard to catch for the most part. I don't get it, because they've been untapped pretty much for forever.
That's what
until
I'm
the
saying.
last 2 years. They've had, 3 tournaments on them?
Yeah.
Where you could weigh them in.
4.
It should
And
be a cakewalk.
State
State
was
why-
not a cakewalk.
Why?
Dude, I was going to ask you that. I was like, that was my question for you. Is because you seem to have a really good pulse on that lake and how it's going to fish with that many boats.
It's going to be interesting.
Right?
Very interesting.
Like, State made me question that. Like, I wish they'd have gone to, I feel like Vermilion could handle that a lot better
Yeah.
than Leech. Because you get a strong wind,
Yeah.
and I feel like that place fishes real small, real fast.
Oh, yeah.
That was team trail this last year, wasn't it, for you guys? It got really windy.
Yeah.
Do you think the winner will weigh a largemouth? That was
It
my
could.
biggest question. Because State last year, I wouldn't have never even questioned that until I saw State last year, and the fact
You
that,
could have.
and yeah, like it was like, ooh, maybe them smallmouth, maybe. Like, I remember Bankston was going up there, and I was like, dude, if you ain't fishing for smallmouth, like, you're fishing for second. And he, after the tournament, I know for a fact he wished he would have fished for a lot of largemouth, too. Because the State, he could have made the State team probably just fishing for largemouth, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you put a bunch of Opens hammers on that lake. I mean,
It's just how many go for largemouth, how many be smallmouth will be super interesting.
I feel like largemouth would be the easy target.
Right.
for sure.
I mean,
Do the smallmouth out there, are they like Mille Lacs where they're very structure related, or do
Yeah.
they roam out there?
Very structure
they're
related.
they're
yeah.
structure related.
And bitchy, which I've never seen before.
You'll pull up to a rock and you'll see 3 of them on it, and
Really?
a lot of times you won't get one. I mean, you have to hit it multiple times in order to get that group to fire.
Yeah, I was
That's
real
crazy.
pissed off in practice. Dane figured the deal out, and then I duplicated it. But dude, there's not a guy fishing that trail listening right now that can't relate with the fact that we were all cussing at smallmouth.
The amount of fish you have to put your bait in front of out there to get a lot of bites in the boats,
That's
way more
crazy.
than any other lake, in my opinion.
Why is that?
It's got to be genetics. Like, there's only a few things I can think of, and I don't know the answer, but genetics, the strain of smallmouth, which I'm not married to that one. The muskies, but Mille Lacs has those.
Yeah.
I'm interested with milfoil in there. You think largemouth will start moving offshore out there
On Mille Lacs?
on leech?
Oh,
Because milfoil got introduced.
Yeah.
low key, I think
You think
that already is happening.
I heard from the team trail that, but
I don't want to blow their stuff, but yeah. Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know Theo super well, but he'd be probably upset if I blew his.
No,
blew his
yeah, let's
fire.
not,
We'll
but-
leave it at that. Yep, I'd do the same for you. So Easton was throwing
Go ahead.
that Ray Libero thing though. Nobody else was throwing that where you were fishing it.
Oh, at Kansas?
Yeah, I mean Tucker Smith's parents probably bought him like 12 bags. But I never saw him pick them up.
No, that was the first time I've been able to watch myself after, like on TV, like how I was able to watch how I differ from everyone else I was fishing against. That was the first time, like
I noticed that right away.
all the other times it's just doc talk you're hearing yourself through, but that time you actually get to watch like every move that everyone made and how I differ, and I learned a lot after the fact rewatching.
That's what was cool to me is you had a couple things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else seemed to be
It's
pretty
part of the open mind part of it.
right. Like Tucker was scoping. And and you had like a couple different deals, and you would always be changing. And yeah, but back to Leech and the Opens, I guess. Is that the one you're most excited for?
Probably, yeah.
That's the one I'd be most scared of you at. Like,
I think it's the only one on the schedule. Oh, I've been to Logan Martin, but that's the only one on the schedule I've been to and spent time at.
oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Not lacrosse?
Oh, I've been there. Haven't spent much time there. 2 high school tournaments there, maybe 6 days.
St. Clair's gonna bode really well for you.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah,
that's probably number 2. But
yeah, they do a little scoping out there, from what I hear.
That's all I do, apparently. So
it's a big old sea of scoping.
Yeah, but Okeechobee, super excited for.
You're excited for Okeechobee?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I like Florida. That's different than any Florida lake I've been to, but
I love Florida, but I feel like that lake is. Almost scared of that lake. Fishing just seems dog out there.
I don't know.
Crowded.
The elites caught them last year.
Yeah, but it's like
it will be crowded, especially with the open
like,
field.
They caught them, but it was in a square the size of this garage, and you had guides soaking shiners there the day before, and
that's part of Florida.
Steve Kennedy had to do 3 lines of crack to work his frog right to get a bite, and locals still poached it the last day.
It's part of Florida, but
right. If the wind switches enough, I'm betting on you, bud.
Let's hope.
It's all about that clean water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. But let's see what else. Ouachita is probably the one I'm most worried about, to be honest.
I don't know much about that place, I guess.
It's interesting. There's lots of hydrilla, lots of flooded timber. I spent a day out there.
It's a Noah tournament then.
Sounds fun.
Water's dirty.
It's not dirty. It's
Okay.
gin clear.
I like Clear Lake.
I guess you can go up the river.
yeah.
You can go up the river and find dirty water.
I'll actually chase if I'm on a lake that has clean and dirty. I'll chase the clean water.
Same
Really?
way, same way.
That's why, like in Minnetonka, I hardly ever go in the dirty water.
I got a question for you, actually, on that. The day after you won the Blackfish Classic this year, which after you won that boat, I'm pretty sure everybody forgot that you won that too, but which was amazing. I watched you with like a Bagley Sunny B in the dirt doing a photo shoot the next day, and you had big ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at the weather.
We smashed them.
It was sunny and calm, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It was opposite of dirty water Tonka cranking. Like, I almost feel like you were faking it.
No, it was. Sobe was there. You can ask him.
How?
We pull up to this rock pile, and we're throwing jigs and drop shots and nets, and we get a couple little bites, and I'm like, I can see there's fish down there, So I grabbed that Sunny B, and I'm not even lying. Like, you can ask Sobe in the camera guy on my boat. I proceeded to catch like 40 in a row for like 24 pounds.
I saw it on the story, and I was just wondering, like, did they bite that, or did, like, because, dude, if it was
Smashed 'em.
cloudy and some wind cooking, and, like, that's, like, nobody catches them on a crankbait out there when you're catching them on a crank. Why were you even in the dirt? Like,
Well, that wasn't
that's-
Minnetonka.
Okay.
No, that wasn't Minnetonka.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, no,
Got
that was a lake back home.
Got it. That makes more sense.
We wanted to catch fish. That's why we didn't go to Minnetonka.
Like, I burned all my shit down.
That was back home, and me and Sobe just waylaid on that school for an hour probably.
What is up with that Sunny B when, like, what
I
I've
think-
noticed is when the conditions aren't right for cranking, it's like that thing still kind of
Just
gets bit.
It gets bit. I don't know why. I think just catches so many fish. It is a bite getter.
Yeah.
All year long. All year long. I mean, you see it on the river for the Champions Tour. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, you caught him behind me.
It
Remember?
just gets bit, man.
Remember? I was
I
throwing
remember.
the big square bill, and it was like, oh, man, I caught a few good ones, but it wasn't, like, happening like it was supposed to.
It's
and
just subtle.
Noah's like, yeah, it was.
Subtle, non-intrusive. It's not. I don't know. When their fish are kind of funky and an off move, which seems to be a lot the last few years from fishing pressure.
I mean, you put a couple hundred high school anglers, and then, a couple Montevideo fishing club derbies,
It just catches them. But that's probably the best shallow water crankbait for getting bit that I've found over the last, I don't know how many years. Which is sad. I've kind of put the square bill down like the last year and a half.
The regular one.
Yeah. And
I like
basically,
flat side better. Like I really like flat side.
I caught a lot of fish on a flat this fall when it got really cold.
Sure.
But I caught them on a sunny B too.
Well, that's to me.
I feel
Flat
bad.
side finesse crank. Sunny B's not a full on flat side. It's a hybrid, I would say.
Yeah.
But it very flat side like I would
But it's
say.
really finessey too.
Very much so.
I don't know. I like it.
So you don't throw the pro as much anymore. You just
No, not really, which is crazy.
well, Fothergill already fished it 3 times, and so did like 3 high school teams. So yeah, probably ain't throwing that.
Me, Jason, Charlie went down to a lake down in Iowa after the ice went out,
I
and
remember that too.
the water was I don't remember. I think it was a week after ice out. The water was cold. I can't remember exactly what the temperature was, but it was just after ice out. I think we stopped filming, but we ended up with like 24 pounds, I think, for the day, and caught like 50 or 60 fish.
Crazy.
Cranking that Sunny B. Shallow Sunny B, actually. We're cranking in like
Yeah.
a foot and a half, 2 foot of water.
When are you picking up the shallow one versus the deep one? I've found a few scenarios where I like the shallow one better.
Shallow one works better when you have more of like a flatter bank. Doesn't break off as fast, you know?
Yeah, bill's kind of long, and if you're banging it into too shallow stuff, it seems like that littler, shorter bill does a lot better.
That shallow Sunny B works really well. Like, hold on, I got a phone call.
Jen on the pod? Yeah.
I don't know. That could be. It could be the
If
kids.
it's the wife, yeah, hey.
Could be the kiddos. Oh no, Schrader, Uncle Tim.
Oh, answer that. Put him on speaker. Tell him he's on the podcast.
Yo. Oh, he hung up.
Call him back. Call him back.
Oh, I think he's got a buyer for my boat.
First time we've called the cops during the pod.
Bud, can you hear me, Bud?
I can.
You're on Teal's Bass Galaxy.
Oh boy.
So,
Timmy!
What's up, buddies?
Sup, dude?
what's going on, Bud?
Well, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Question 1, did you see the email in regards to the Pro-Am on Mille Lacs?
No, I did not.
17 grand for first.
Oh my God. But-
I can sign up to fish it.
Because you're a previous Champions Tour angler, right?
I thought they said no cops.
Well, you gotta get them dope smokers. So.
Breaker 19. We've got a bogey over.
Okay.
The eagle has landed. The eagle has landed. I repeat. So we'll see you at the Pro-Am, Tim.
Well, we'll see.
You're the first phone guest ever on the Teal's Bass Galaxy Fishing Podcast. How does it feel to be in the 5th dimension?
Well, I should always be on the Teal's podcast. I could talk forever.
Oh, you'll be back, bud. We missed you already.
After he wins Mille Lacs.
Yeah, 17 grand. That's the first time I think that's been announced.
That's
publicly.
It's on the website.
Oh,
Jesus.
never mind. Well, we're second to the party.
I better put some effort in that one.
Yeah, well, it'll take Noah's eyes off the championship for a change.
Well, that just means Noah's going to be camping at Mille Lacs for 2 weeks.
Call Jenna, get the
Jen
campground.
hasn't called and already booked. I told him he's booking a campsite at Mille Lacs for 2 weeks.
I heard they got some deals on launch boats cooking for next year. Yeah.
Everyone has to use a Snoopy pole on a launch boat.
Tim, I got one question for you before I give the phone back to Noah. Please tell me you have a Leinenkugel summer shandy in your hand right
He's
now.
probably working.
You're working?
I do not have. Do not currently have one. I will have one later.
When you're off of work at like 3:30 a.m.
I'm not working right now,
Oh, Bud.
so
You're
Proud
not
of you.
working?
but I will have one later.
Getting ready for Mexico.
Okay. Well, you boys have fun, and we will talk to you guys later.
I'll call you on the way home, Bud, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, yep.
Later, Timmy. I gotta pee.
Me too.
Hey, what do you got over there? You grabbing my stuff again? You brought
I was-
stuff, right? You're
No,
gonna
I
grab
was-
stuff. You gotta bring stuff.
I was playing on.
I know
with
you
the-
brought your tackle
playing-
box for me. But Dude, what do you think of that? Corey Houck and Wyatt Stoutward looking at that guy.
It caught my eye on the wall.
Don't they make a bigger one than that too?
I have no idea.
I
If
think-
they do, that's cool. This is my latest like little sneaky
I think they
waypoint
might.
grab.
What do you even call this?
I'm pretty
You're-
good
you-
at Japanese.
yeah, you're
Let me give you
JDM.
a sec.
That's a top water bait. You just twitch, right? Let it sit.
That's what
Yeah,
Teal
check
says.
this out. It's called the Depths Kramushi.
Okay. I like the accent.
Pretty bad. These guys are absolute samurais. I have so much respect. Yeah, it's like a little.
Yeah, and you rig it this way, so when you pull it,
Yeah, we've all seen those bugs on the surface. They do
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like it'd be a good springtime bait when the fish are up cruising.
Little smallmouth, calm day. That's what I got it for. Veselka hair rod,
It would be fun.
PMC red line hook number 2, the one with the keeper.
There
Dab
you
of super
go,
glue.
The finesse.
See, I'm thinking cruisers down the bank on Hartwell.
So that's what I was thinking. In my mind was cruisers in the spring.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
If they had a one size up from that down south, but like that size for smallmouth is, I like it.
See, I was thinking topwater bait on the river, slack water. All of a sudden, they're not like I'm done catching whatever's there on the top. Like follow up bait before I leave in the slack water, and then
You
a
excited,
little bit of bug hatch
you
stuff.
excited for the St. Croix?
Yes, dude. Yes. Yes. I've never fished it in my life, but I love tournament fishing on the river. Although I said that for the last Champs Tour event on the river, so I guess I like it because I learned a lot from the last one I fished on the river, and I'm just got a bone to pick with Champs Tour river tournaments
Me too.
because it's the first time I've sucked on the river in a tournament
I'm not a big fan of river fishing.
in the last 10 years. But 5-fish tournaments, I mean, I love river fishing.
It would have been a good 5-fish derby for me.
St. Croix? See, I feel like might be a better Champs Tour Derby. I don't know. I've heard a lot of things, so I don't know.
I heard it sucked.
I've heard that. I've heard it's good. I've heard it'll fish big. I've heard it'll fish small. I heard there's tons of fish, but no big ones. I heard, well, there's some big ones. I've heard largemouth. I've heard smallmouth.
So we don't know anything.
Yeah. We know it's a river, Noah.
That's all we know.
We know it's called the St. Croix River, and we're going to be bass fishing it.
Yep.
Yep. Which is perfect for you.
For me,
Yeah. If you don't know what to do yet, it's going down.
that's what I like. Though I like no preconceived notions.
You ever fish St. Croix River?
I haven't.
Do you do a lot of pre-study, map study,
Oh yeah.
research?
Oh yeah.
Do you? See, I kind of tend to not.
I'm huge on.
I get on my birds and do a lot of looking on my map, like master stuff like that. But I won't actually like get online and read forums and stuff like that. I'll watch a little bit of YouTube just to kind of see what like the lay of the lake looks like. But I won't take any of it to heart, if that makes sense.
My biggest is Google Earth.
I'll do stuff like that.
Mine
Yeah,
too.
yeah, Google Earth.
Yep. We're going to leave it at that.
Yep.
But I won't do like look for how do they catch them? What baits are they using? What
Oh.
part of the lake are they
I don't
fishing?
do that
I don't do
either.
that.
I don't do that.
'Cause I don't want to know that stuff.
I hate that. In fact, I think that's the kiss of death.
It is.
But what Easton's saying is map study without any of that
I'll do the same thing.
allows you to run. That's what I do.
Google Maps,
Yep.
Lake Master.
Navionics, like, yep.
Yep, that's what I do.
Yep. I do.
I'll watch, like I said, I'll watch some YouTube videos just to kind of see what the lake looks like in general.
Mhm.
But I won't I'm not like, what bait do I gotta have?
Yeah,
I gotta
I
order
don't.
100 of these. Like I don't get sucked into that stuff.
No.
Dude, I don't know how people find shit in people's backgrounds of shit.
I can't do that.
Dude, people have poached like some really good shit for me from my backgrounds. Like now I get made fun of if I ever blur out one, which is pretty rare, but
I blurred out something once. I had a dock in the background. I caught like a 687 and had like a 28-pound bag, and you could see a very specific dock in the background. So I colored that over with like a cloud or something I put over it.
I drew a blue dock over the red
Yeah.
dock.
It was actually a blue dock, and I put a cloud over it so you could see where I was.
I bet you got a whole team of college kids that are good at sniping backgrounds. I guess on a reservoir, I feel like that's really tough.
Yeah, I think it would be too.
That's-
Every creek looks the fucking same.
Yeah, like we trying to do it on Minnetonka. Like
Right.
every dock looks the same. There's a billion striped docks.
Till you talk to a guy on Tonka.
That's
knows
true.
That one doesn't have bird shit on the red stripe. The third one in. Can't be that, Doc. I checked it yesterday. It's wild, though. What's some weird stuff you've been working on? Like, you guys, what I like about you guys is, and great anglers in general, is that they're always sharpening their tools. They're always perfecting their craft. And it's the off season right now. Mm-hmm. So those are good times to be reflecting on this past season. So Noah learned that he did most things right.
Not everything.
So did Easton. But you guys, I know you're hard on yourselves, and as you should be, best people in the game are. What's the tool in your shed that you guys are really wanting to sharpen and hone in on?
I'll let Easton go first.
Mine's glide bait, like mentioned before, and rattle trap is the other one.
Glide bait and a trap, which is a player down south.
Big player, and I suck at it. So, and I don't suck at it. It's just I don't have the confidence I do with the rest of my arsenal. So I just gotta get that up there, and
Sure.
just so it enters my rotation more.
Sure. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Yep, exactly.
How about you, Noah?
Mine's different. I'm getting old. You guys are young bucks, so I'm gonna work on like we texted earlier, like, oh, what kind of IPAs you want? I'm trying to stay away from the IPAs. I'm trying to think towards next season, trying to get healthier and back off the beer a little bit, so I can stay a little sharper, eat healthier, stuff like that. I'm getting older, so it's not as easy as it used to be for me.
He switched to Busch Light, folks. He's making healthier decisions.
It's a step.
Hey.
Like this last year, I had a real bad, in both arms actually, after whitefish, real bad bout of tennis elbow in both arms.
Oh, sure.
And it was my first year I've ever had it, and it is. We were fishing a Blackfish tournament, and I hooked the fish, and I had to have my partner. Well, I tried to get my partner to reel it in for me, but he wouldn't, because it hurt so bad I couldn't even hold the rod in my arms and put pressure on it. So just trying to work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's a big part of it, is the health and staying focused and sharp.
For sure. For sure.
Big part of it people don't really think about. Or if you like watch a lot of the real high level pros and people like Kyle Welcher and like Schlapper was talking about it too. Brandon Polnick, all them guys are very in tune with what they eat. How much alcohol they consume, if they consume any at all, stuff like that plays a big part of it.
For sure.
Especially like the older you get, like I'm really starting to feel. I'm not that old, but I'm gonna be pushing 40 here. I'm really starting to feel it in my joints, in my elbows, in my back, and I don't feel as sharp as I used to be up here. So
when you retire someday, you'll switch to weed. That's what all the retired people are doing. No. Health is a big thing, and I think we overlook it up here because of single-day events.
But you have all practice, though.
You do, and I go hard, but I'm drained after one day, right? So I think about, like, if I were to fish multiple day events, I would need to make a change.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I wouldn't be worth a shit. I already probably need to make that change with a single day event. But like Easton,
5 days of practice.
Yeah, and the dude just came off brain surgery. So yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
That is crazy to me, dude.
It's crazy to me.
Well, I'm not saying yours was a near death experience, but I mean, it shook you up a bit.
No, it was near death.
And the story is a little fuzzy on that then, because that's crazy. Talk to me about that, and I'm sorry if I made any assumptions.
After the podcast, I'll show you the picture of the MRI of my brain. But there's this nerve in our brains that my abscess was dang near pushing against, and if that nerve gets shifted at all, I'm toast. So it's so close. And the doctors don't know how I didn't have seizures, and I never had a seizure. And they're like, "How did you not have a seizure?" So I'm out bass fishing on Pickwick Lake with a brain abscess. Should have had seizures. I'm riding all over the place, and the whole thing is so crazy.
Gut wasn't telling you to. What was your gut telling you at that point?
The bass are shallow, not deep.
Working on the health gut. Well, I like it. But so, dude, that's. Can you walk me through that again? Just because you had is that still like?
No, it's done with.
It's not something you have to worry about anymore.
No, it was just an infection is all it was. It's healed up, and we're good to go now. So. How
close of a call was it? Are we talking like
the doctor told me is you talking like measurement?
Well, you made it sound like
The doctor told me it could have been seconds, minutes, days. We don't know, but it was dang close. That's what they said. So, it was scary. It was.
Dude, I guess I crashed a boat one time, which is different, but stuff like that's scary.
Mhm.
Like, it makes you think about life a little bit
Oh yeah.
differently.
I appreciate every tournament morning much more now.
Like, we all cheat death daily.
Yeah.
You don't know when it's going to happen. So fish at next tournament like it's the goddamn Bassmaster Classic and win you a skeeter boat, right, Noah Schultz?
That's what I do.
But I guess how's your outlook on life before, like now versus before? Has it changed, like, how you look at the sport and what it means to you, and like
Oh yeah.
going
Everything.
for it? And,
Every life in general, it changed.
Sure.
Just never take anything for granted. It can change so fast.
you used to take that scope and bite for granted, and you used to.
Yeah, I guess fishing overall means a little bit more now. Before I was just riding around catching bass, but now it's a little bit more of a purpose, I guess. Just how you describe it. I don't know. It just means more.
Well, if you woke up every day and said, I might not be able to go fishing tomorrow, I'm going to fish a hell of a lot different today. You ever almost died?
Yeah, once, but nothing. Different story for a different day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even, it was an injury that could have went bad, but it didn't. That makes sense.
Dude, I've gotten super lucky. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I got hit by a car
lucky.
one time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but
Yeah, no, you haven't.
no, I got hit by a car in 9th grade. This one was my fault. I've had 2 crashes. One was my fault, one wasn't. And my friends and I were snowmobiling. And my parents had a couple of snowmobiles. They had a Jag 340 that, they let me take out with my friends, which was a pretty cool thing for me at the
Fast.
time. 340 was like the tiniest sled there was.
It's quick though.
I mean, so we were crossing the street, and there was a hill coming up on it. And I had my one buddy in front of me, and a cop came up over this hill, and I watched my buddy pull out right in front of that cop. And there's 3 or 4 of my friends behind me, and I was second in line. So I couldn't believe he pulled out in front of this cop. So typically when you cross the road, you look left, right, then left. And this is how I've replayed it since then. But I think because he pulled out in front of the cop, I was looking to see if that cop was going to put his cherries on and pull over. So I looked right, left, right, crossed. As I was crossing, all I remember hearing was my friend Blake behind me. No, Teal, no. Right? And the next thing I remember was seeing the front of a car and flying through the air.
Jesus.
Flying through the air. And I woke up on the other side of the road, and I got up and walked 5 to 6 feet and then fell back over. And then I remember I was laying there and I watched the people get out of the Buick, and it was my home ec teacher. And her husband was my science teacher in the passenger seat. And my friends ran over to me, and I was just super shaken up. I still don't know to this day how. And the cop saw the whole thing happen through his rearview mirror, and he called an ambulance immediately. He thought I was dead. Because I literally, my friends described it to me as a ragdoll flying further than they'd ever seen a ragdoll fly. And what's crazy is my home ec teacher, she got out of the car, came up to me, she's like, "I'm so sorry, I panicked and hit the accelerator instead of the brakes," right? But think about this. Where she hit me was, so you have a snowmobile, and below your left hand, under that handlebar, is the clutch, and your feet kind of go in right there, right?
Yeah.
The clutch on that snowmobile, when we pulled the hood off, was busted in half. The clutch was in half. And a clutch is a pretty big mechanism, right? In half. So I think about if she would have braked, that would have been my leg.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be dead, right? So because she panicked and hit the accelerator, she hit the snowmobile, which flung me up over the car. No impact to the car, right? And that's how I survived that. I had a broken pinky and a bruised knee. That's it. My helmet and I landed on my head. Should have broken my neck or something, but my helmet was totally mangled.
Then you had that boat accident too. That was nasty though.
And then I had that steering failure where I lost steering at 65 miles an hour, crashed into a point, and that one was also scary. But I guess for me, the hard thing for me after that was like, why me, right? I'm not different than anybody else. Like, there's people that die in such a fluky, unfortunate way, like it shouldn't have happened, and I should have died twice and didn't. You know what I mean? Like that's what fucked me up probably the most after that. But dude, I was not trying to one up your story there. I've watched a few like YouTube episodes on like people who have like near death experiences where they like literally die and go back. Those are weird, man. You ever watch those?
I haven't watched them.
No.
Those are weird.
No.
Yeah.
Just watch bass fishing.
There's I watched like 5 of them. There's a correlation. What's weird is there's a correlation between everybody who's experienced one. It experiences something similar, which is weird. I've never died before, so I wouldn't know. But
interesting.
Yeah. Bass fishing, safe sport. Yeah. No, but life's short. You got to enjoy it, which is why you got your shot this year, bro. And I guess how are you looking at that? How are you approaching this? Like, in your mind, what is this opportunity? What is this, everything? Do or die? Or is this, hey, I'm going to soak this up and enjoy it?
No, that's not me. No, that's not how I work.
Are you if you don't make it this year, you plan on doing it again?
If I can make it happen, might have to work a couple of years and then, but I don't know. I'll treat it just like I did the bracket. It just put the work in, and if it's meant to be, it'll happen. That's how I'll treat it.
I love that attitude.
That's how I go about things, I guess.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be. If you give it everything you got, what more can you do?
Make it meant to be.
All you can do is control.
You can't force it. Can you? Do you feel like you force it when it happens for you? I feel like when I force it, it doesn't happen.
I feel like you work for it. Like anything in life. If you don't put the work in, you're not going to get it.
I agree with that on the work, but you can't force it. You have to work for it.
But you can force yourself to work for it. Does that make sense?
That's something you can force.
That's what I mean
is
by
the
that.
Preparation.
Make it happen. Like, work harder than anybody else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
First one there, last one to leave. Don't make any shortcuts.
You guys are hammers, dude. You guys
So
are
are you.
hammers. Thank you. And I guess that means a lot coming from you. And I think there's a lot of hammers out there, right? And there's always something I learn from you guys, and I just appreciate you guys making the trip. I guess let's switch gears a little bit, because I really think that we've let Easton off a little bit easy today with the scoping. Okay.
Trade you?
Yeah. I want to get into scoping baits a little bit.
Baits.
And how you use it.
I want to hear this.
We've heard it before. Like, we've heard the standard stuff, but to me, I don't know. Downey and I were talking about it, where it's like scoping's pretty easy to cast when it's calm out. Just like a guy who's good with their bow is going to hit that target with their bow when it's calm out. But put that guy with his bow on the front deck of a boat in 3-footers and have him hit the center of that, the heart of that,
or stay on target.
Right. So there's a lot to scoping.
There is. It's just like anything else. It's a tool. It's knowing when to use it, when not to, and like anything else fishing, you gotta be efficient with it.
So you don't have a turret, do you?
No.
You're transducer control.
I am against those.
So how does that work?
He thinks those are gay.
I do.
So
I could
I'm
see
gonna
it.
disagree with you there, but
like it.
I think it's because of where I'm located.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think fish in the northern half of the U.S. are very, or at least in the Midwest here where we live, are very related to structure. They don't roam as much. So I feel like if you fished like a pelagic fish 90% of the time, I could see where that would not be beneficial. But like, if you're fishing a piece of structure and you get a 20-mile-an-hour north wind and your structure's over here, I can spot lock and I can turn my transducer right to where I need to cast. Because those fish typically don't roam too far away from the structure.
I got to be honest.
See,
with
me,
you,
I'm
he's
just
making some good points here.
he is. It's just different styles. I'm just conditioned to pull up to that spot straight downwind.
What if you have a weed line, though? You can't do that.
It's true.
That's where it really shines in my
They don't
opinion.
have weed lines in the South.
That's what, like, it's all relative to who you are and where you live.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's so much extra stuff to deal with. Like, I can't play the drums. Like, do all that. Like, I already got a cast. I already got a, like, but I could also see where that's goes, like, the other way, too. When you're talking about your scenario, you're not playing the drums as much, like, on your foot pedal pointing.
Yeah,
around
I'm
or
locked.
whatever.
And all I got to do, instead of moving my trolling motor around, I just got to move my target lock. Oh, yeah, they're over here. I can just keep it there. I can even target lock on the piece of structure and move the boat if I want to move the boat. But
I'm sorry, Rob. The turret's cool. All the other extra poles, super gay. Just kidding.
I think it
Rob
has.
Storer's my boy. Humminbird makes good
I
stuff.
think it has its place. Like, my plan this year is I'm really debating. I want to kind of hear you guys' thoughts on this. Sorry to get sidetracked again. here.
Hey, it's the galaxy. We're in the fifth dimension.
What happened to the fourth dimension? Where'd that one go?
I don't know.
So,
You could be in the sixth now if you want. It's galaxy. You're good.
so I have two ideas for next year. One is to run a transducer on my target lock, one on my trolling motor, or one on my target lock, and then have one for my console, my steering, so I can idle and scope. What would you do?
I'm probably going to run one on the trolling motor and one at the console this year. That's probably what I'll do.
Idle and scope.
I don't know how much I'll use that really, but because my deal is I'm trying to find as many isolated pieces of structure as possible is what my favorite thing to do, and I just rotate isolated pieces all day, like kind of one cast type deal is my favorite thing to do.
We should cut that.
What's their cut? It's been done before.
Too juicy.
That's
Like
that's
Patch
my
Slapper was
style.
talking.
I
Felt
feel like
Patch
I was
Slapper
listening
all
to
over
Noah, Pat, Annie Wall. Like, that's, yeah.
But I don't know. They'd both have their benefits. I don't know.
Depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
It depends where you are for sure with that.
Which goes back to what I said around here. I feel like target lock is king if you're running live sonar.
Like at school, I wish I had two live scopes on my trolling motor, like on the shaft,
One in perspective, one out.
both forward,
Just different.
different ranges.
So Dumke quits
Different
crossing
ranges.
over you, or
Different angles
Yeah.
or
oh,
ranges?
different ranges.
Ranges,
Like 100 feet, 50 feet?
150, 80.
Why? How?
When I'm hunting a fish, I have my live scope range at 150 to 200. It's part of the efficiency thing. You want to get locked in on another fish as fast as possible.
Yeah, I see that.
If you're just rolling around at 80, it takes a little bit longer. But if you put the range out further and you're moving your boat, you'll get locked in on the next fish faster. It's all about the efficiency piece of it.
So they're pointed. Do you have? Are they stacked on top of each other? Or
I would have
they,
one barrel mount, on the like right next to the prop, and then one on the shaft. Is what I would do.
and you would move.
Ideally, I'd have two screens, one on 150, one on 80, two Garmins. But
It's basically the same thing I did in East-West Rush.
So are you talking that you would run a separate pole?
no, these would both be on the trolling motor shaft.
Oh, on the same shaft.
Yeah.
I did that same thing on East-West Rush, but I did it with landscape and 360. I had
Oh,
my
really?
360 set out further and my landscape set in, so I could, like same concept you have, I could see things way far out and know when I'm coming up to them and where they are. And then my landscape was my precision cast too, if that makes sense. I could be way more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's how.
That makes
And
sense.
you were, I'm guessing, much shallower than I'm doing.
Yeah,
with.
I was fishing 2 to 6 feet all
Okay,
day.
yeah, landscape.
Yeah, but the same concept, like what you're thinking, is you can see things way further out, so you can anticipate where they are,
Mhm.
where they're gonna be, and when you're gonna come up to them, and just you're not wasting any time then.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did basically the same thing I did on East West Rush.
Except
Landscape,
Flat.
landscape, and 360.
Earth
what I
is
use.
flat for you.
Yeah.
For you.
Oh, that's a good idea. Though. I like that.
That's crazy. So, but they're on top of each other or next to each other. So one's looking, let's say one's at 90 degrees, one's at 60 degrees
They're the same angle.
on top
of
of
each other.
Got it. That's okay.
That's a good idea. So now I have 3 options for next year.
Well, you heard about, I've heard about like Koyo Fujita with the saltwater transducer
For
looking out 300.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 screens for one transducer. And to me, that's kind of like what you're saying.
Same idea.
It's almost like it's
Same
like a
idea,
video
yeah.
game, and you have to, like, you want to be ready to cast as soon as you see the fish at the beginning of screen, like number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you see a fish, to me it's cool because you see fish 200 feet out on Lake Champlain, right? And they're open water and they're cruising around. How you position the boat to catch those fish becomes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could see them at 300 versus most everybody else is seeing them at 100 or 90, and you think about how fast they're swimming around, the advantage you have in distance of stealth,
And how many more fish you're gonna see?
you're going to see more fish, and I bet you make less casts per catch. You know what I mean? Like your catch rate's going to be better when you can position the boat right.
Because he's in his perfect scenario, he's gonna see twice as many fish as the next guy
Oh yeah.
because he set out twice as far in his furthest transducer,
Right.
and his 80 to 100 feet transducer is his casting transducer.
Hmm.
That's smart. I like that.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's a good little nugget there.
That is a good little nugget.
Makes the guy think. So now what should I do? But well, I don't know.
How many grands do you have? I mean, what a guy should do is that, plus 2 scopes, like plus a console scope.
I might only one. I might just run one live.
That
next year,
console
I don't know.
scope thing is interesting. Dane
I might do that. I might
Dane
do-
figured that out without us knowing that was like a thing.
Really?
On leech. That's how he.
So do you do it at
Initially
the
figured
console
out
so you can turn it,
how
or
he
do you
would
just
catch
mount it in the rear?
I've never done either.
Neither
I've never
have I.
idled with live scope before.
Either. I feel like there'd be a lot of drag when you're idling on your transducer if you have it faced this way.
I'm gonna let Dane let it out, but I run 2 Lowrances with a Garmin and a Lowrance Ghost. He runs 3 Lowrances, or no, 2 Lowrances and a 360 and a Ghost.
You don't have 360?
No, I sold it to Dane with that
Oh.
boat. So I ran.
Do you have
he
360?
has 360,
Tell
and I
me-
had live
I do.
scope.
I was gonna say, oh man,
But Active Target connected to his console, so he idled around with his trolling motor in the water.
well, I suppose you could do that to bypass.
So if you're running a networked system, you could save not having to run one at the console if you're just willing to put your troll motor in
But
the
the
water
nice thing-
and then cock it. And you got the turret anyway, so you're like, just
Yeah,
running
bring
it
the
that
remote
way.
back there.
Yeah, yeah.
Smart man.
Oh yeah, it's not. I'm just repeating it. I'm just like letting it out of the bag. I'm just the.
I think we should double back on the
screwing
360
pooch on
thing. I can't believe you don't have a 360.
I want one. I just you got to make decisions, right? And for me, I've never run 3 graphs up front, and I felt
feel
like
it.
I needed scope because I saw how good the perspective was,
Yeah.
and I felt like I could use perspective and scope in a similar way. Because Lowrance, the GPS is really good, so I got good at fishing offshore, protracting, making the right cast without 360, and 360 just made the picture better. The other thing I've got is a 3-in-1 nose cone on the bottom of the trolling motor, so I can literally point it at structure and know where the weeds end and the rocks start. It's blurry. Your average Joe couldn't read it, but I've been looking at side imaging long enough. I know what hard bottom, soft bottom looks like, and I can point that thing around real time. So I had enough confidence to do that because James Chapman, a guy I fished with, he had Poor Man's 360, which was a side imaging transducer with only one side working. And we did pretty good in a couple tournaments sniping fish off that. So, like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not at the level where like, if I was you guys, I would probably be looking at 3 graphs up front a lot more. I just feel like I'm not quite to the level where I feel like I should be able to do better with what I've got than need 3 graphs up front. That's where I'm at. I need to develop as an angler with live scope more than I would with 360 because I'm good at side imaging and looking at it and dissecting that aspect of fishing.
I couldn't live without 360.
I get that.
I couldn't. I carry a spare. That's how important it is to me.
Well, like Dane and I would get in the boat and he's like, man, I wish I had my 360. I was like, no, dude, like, it's fine. And then other times I wish we had it. You know what I mean? It seems to really depend on where you're at.
Like precision. Like again, it goes back to efficiencies, and when you make that cast, your bait's going to land where it needs to land. Like, you're not wondering, is it on that boulder?
Right.
Is it on that brush pile? Like, when you make that cast, it's going to land where it needs to land. Like,
What speed do you run yours on?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Same.
I want a nice, clean, precise picture.
You wait a little longer to see how big the bluegills are next to them bass.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. More detail, right?
Exactly. And that's why I use it. And then you pair it with any live imaging sonar, and it's just like crazy.
You're a Nazi about your wiring, I know.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you're as like that way or if yeah.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Or you don't get clean images.
It's crazy.
It's a waste of time if it's not clear.
Exactly. You'll miss a lot of stuff, or you'll just get distorted. You'll get interference. You'll have issues. Like, if you don't have clean wiring. Oh, yeah.
You guys run lithiums?
No.
I do.
You do?
This last 2 years, actually. So, trolling motor, not cranking.
Yep. You like them?
Yeah, I can still kill them. I don't know how. 100 amp hour, 12 volts. I can kill them.
You do move fast, Fothergill.
If I'm on laid, we're scoping all day. I can't run on 10 all day, or I'll kill the battery at about 1:30.
Really?
So I got to put it on 7, because that's where That's where it uses less. Because I told you about this on the last podcast, didn't I? How it goes gradual, and then you put the trolling motor at 7. It's exponential. Then how much power your trolling motor uses.
That's a big deal. I remember back when I had a 12-volt trolling motor, that's when I learned that.
Oh, I remember them days.
Me too.
Hauling the old deep cycle battery up to the house to charge, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Every night.
Simple times. Simple times, right?
Oh.
Simple times.
I'd be so sad when that trolling motor battery would die.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It'd be
At the 5-speed Coda, click, 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 click.
It'd be a lot slower a drive home than it would be to your spot every time.
For sure. For sure.
Oh,
Well, I don't know where we're at for time. Oh, yeah. No, we got enough time for this.
time for a beer?
Yeah. I'm going to have a Tony for this one. I'm going to have me a Tony. Shit. I'm taking my headphones off. I got bad news for you. You get a Tony.
What is a Tony?
You get a Tony.
Iced tea.
I think they're kind of shitty, but I don't mind them. This is like, I guess, the college. I picked these up for Easton because the frat kids are drinking this. I guess.
Bush Light's got more alcohol than this thing.
So I'm a scoper and a frat kid now?
Yeah, dude.
That's my title.
No. No, Cole was telling me it's called Boozy Iced Tea. 2-turn Tony. That's what it's called. That's why they call them Tonys, I guess. They call them Tonys.
Tony don't taste very good.
No.
Thank you, though. Not complaining.
You don't have to drink it. They're not a sponsor of the show. Fuck Tony. I don't even like Tony. I don't think they're bad. You can get better sweet tea down the street, I suppose, where you're living right now. So you're back though. When do you go back to school?
Second.
Okay. When do you graduate?
First week in May sometime. I don't get to walk this year. I'll be at the Open on Logan Martin. So.
That's cool.
Got priorities, right?
Dude,
Yes.
like, isn't that the dream, right? It's like, sorry, I can't make graduation. Gotta pass.
I'll be bassing.
I think you should go through what you all received for that win, because I talked to many different people and I've heard many different stories.
That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. Because
What I won.
I've heard
bracket?
the same.
Yep.
I thought you won an Opens berth, but then they didn't announce that.
They
like
didn't.
that wasn't like
That was.
which
yeah,
I was pissed
That was
about.
messy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, winning that, I received entry into the Bassmaster Classic on Grand, full entry into all 9 Opens, which that was the catch. Bassmaster is saying that if you're not a graduating senior, you won't get all 9 Opens from now on, which I am a graduating senior. That's why I got all 9. And
So
then,
if you'd have been a junior, they'd have been like, sorry.
yeah, which is going to hurt for whoever that is.
Yeah, dude.
I don't agree with that, but because I'm still doing school this spring, like it's.
I
don't know.
suppose they're like
I don't want you to drop out of college.
That's their reasoning.
they
That's
do
what
it
they
with
say.
football and hockey players all the time. They redshirt you. They should have redshirted you.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. But anyways, and then full use of a brand new Toyota Tundra and a nitro boat for this next calendar year. So that's it. That's what I get.
That's it.
No, I'm not downplaying it. It's gonna be.
No, yeah.
It's gonna be the biggest year of my life. So I'm.
No, I was just.
I can't
no,
wait.
What happens if you scratch that boat on a nice stump, like somewhere? Like, how have they walked you through that yet? Like, do you have to get you on the insurance, or they?
No, they're on the insurance, which
Wow.
it's crazy. It's,
It's dream come true.
yeah.
So it's a full ride, pretty much. There's no boat payment. There's no insurance.
Nothing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a full ride after college. That's like what you go to college for, right?
It's
Not a lot of people go to college and like it's like being a communication major, going to college, getting a full ride after. Unheard of. Or an art major. You're an art major. Hey, we're gonna give you a full ride once you're out of college. So that's dude.
I still can't believe it, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
hell of an opportunity. Opens paid. I mean,
Oh, and I forgot $7,500 on top of all that to go towards the Opens travel.
That'll cover a good chunk of it.
yep. So we've got it on the record now. So there shouldn't be any more
Yeah.
confusion. It's better than I.
That's better
'cause
than
I was kind of let down when you did it, and I was like, oh, I thought he got.
I was too, because I was told I only get one division. I was just like, that takes all the wind out of it, kind of.
Or just a classic berth. Like, that's cool, right?
No, yeah.
Who doesn't want to do that? But
And don't forget to mention that the last place in the classic is $10,000.
Exactly. So,
oh shit.
So yeah.
Yeah, you
So
already
I'm-
did that.
yeah. So I basically,
So you're covered for the next season.
pretty
100%.
much 9 Opens, I'm covered. Pretty much.
Dude, sick.
Dream come true.
Okay. Did you find any bull shads since we last talked?
I did.
Okay. So I
I'm-
don't.
You
I'm
got
giving
you got
that-
some of them.
I'm stocked back up.
He came over last time and he's like, "Can I have that?" I was like, "Why?" Like, I need it.
It'll play.
I don't know when to throw it. I felt like I knew. I think I caught one bass on it this year, but
It's fall time.
fall time. That
We
makes
got-
sense.
I got another one. I don't want to say over the podcast, but there's another bull shab type bait that I'll tell you guys about after.
Okay.
So I got 2 nuggets, I guess.
I just want to know the secret, babe. That's why I drove here.
I think I want the truth as best you can,
Okay.
and you might be able to lie. You can lie about the size. Okay.
Okay.
Scope and minnows. I know that revoltage drift fry has
Mhm.
become quite popular.
Mm-hmm.
You throwing that?
A little bit, yeah. It's part of the rotation for sure.
Like the little one or the big one? This is the part you can lie about, but it's up to you.
It's all about what forage I'm trying to mimic. 3 all the way to the 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It varies, but they all play.
such a weird looking bait. I know Waypoint's like been sold out of them, but
They've been flying up. They're hard to get for good reason.
well, we were talking about pink, I remember, and I went up and I had that pink drift fry, and I remember I couldn't get a couple to bite, and I threw that pink one in there and I caught one.
Really?
Yeah, and it made me think of that story about you and Dumke
About
with the
Nick?
jerk bait,
Yeah.
scoping them, and I was like, but then if you just throw a pink one all day, it's like it doesn't seem like it's the deal.
It's all about learning how to read fish's reactions on live scope, how they react to your bait,
For sure.
and their demeanor.
So how many different scoping baits will you rotate through? Like,
That's part of the reason why I have so many rods on the front deck. I can't fit another one
right.
because I got my scoping rods. I got the rods for when I'm running down the lake and I see a good looking laydown. I'm going to flip my jig into there. I'm going to ride over a brush pile. I'm going to drag my jig through that. This is how I roll.
I like that. That's
That's how I roll too.
with less effectiveness. That's how I roll too.
20 rods in the deck.
Yeah,
Rods have to make one cast. That's
Mhm.
it.
I'm
Put it back
such
on.
a proponent of that.
I would love to know how many times my troll motor's been up and down, up and down, up and down
I know
in
so
its
many-
career.
That's crazy. See, I need to be better at that. I'm good at fishing an area. And it seems like when I get away from that, the problem is like the lake I grew up on is a milk run, spot on the spot deal. But it seems like my success has come good at, hunkering down in an area. So it's like, I always struggle with in the championship on Rush, I feel like if I'd have never left that area I was catching them, I could have top 5 that event. I wouldn't have taken second, first, or third, but I think I could have top 5 that event. But all that was going through my head the whole time was, this is not the tournament. We're fishing for 5th. So
You gotta roll the dice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got 9th.
I've done the same thing.
But I know I'd have finished better if I milked that area.
Yeah, but you're not fishing for.
Would you have won though? Were you fishing to win by fishing that?
Everybody was fishing for second place that tournament, just so you know.
Area? Okay, that's fair.
There's nothing I could have done. There's nothing. I might have thought so in the morning. I felt real good for that one. And he went shallow in the morning, and I went deep. And I really was feeling good. And I could see him down there. I don't know if they were bass but I couldn't catch them out deep. And you're catching them shallow that morning. But I was fishing to win, and I didn't think I could win shallow, like on that side of the lake. And shallow's relative, 10 feet deep,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
on that lake it is. Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to go on a ramble there,
No,
but
I was just thinking while you were talking about that. So I think the reason I adopted that style of fishing I just explained is I'm super good friends with Wesley Gore. He just qualified for the Elite Series. He's one of my best friends. And the first time he ever took me fishing, he sat me down and said, "Don't ever fish insane." And then he said, "When you go home tonight, look up the definition of insane." And I just thought about it the rest of the day, like, fish insane, that's got to be a good thing. And I looked up the definition of insane, and it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And he has that written on every graph on his boat. And he thinks that mindset is why he qualified for Elite Series this year. And I've been thinking about that ever since. Like, I gotta revolve around my fishing style around that. So
I love that.
that's one of the biggest nuggets I've ever gotten.
Isn't it weird how that works? It's like you read a business book, and it's all shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That quote gets thrown out all the time.
Yeah.
Definition of insanity.
I see, like, insanity is something that I already think I am, but I didn't think it was that. Like,
I didn't either.
But then again, a lot of people I think most people are a little bit insane. They get
Makes
stuck
sense,
in a
though.
rut.
You can sit in one spot all day long. If you're not getting bit in the morning, odds are you're probably not gonna get bit in the afternoon unless you really understand that area.
Right.
And the
And what
fish
I
movement.
see so much is guys will get on this deal in practice, like, "Oh, I'm swimming a jig and I caught so many yesterday out there."
This podcast is brought to you by my compadre, my tournament partner, my brother, and the best rod builder above the Mason-Dixon line, Veselka Fishing and Customs. Specializing in custom fishing rods. That's right. Hand-built fishing rods, custom-made and tailored how you want, whether it's by length, action, specific technique, balance, or anything you want. Anything. Veselka Fishing and Customs can build it. Mr. Veselka also has a wide variety of rods to choose from, which we've had a lot of fun with, perfecting and testing. The most unique and famous rod developed at Veselka Fishing and Customs is his custom Marabou hair jig rod. Have you thrown the old Canadian Dinnerman, the Harry Gary, the Fighter Fly, the old Thin Lizzy? If you have, then you know these little fluff balls can be hard to cast, especially at those key sizes as light as 1/16 of an ounce. Well, what if I told you you could cast that Marabou jig 30 to 50% farther than you're casting it now? What if I told you you don't have to spook those shallow, skittish smallmouth? Well, with the custom hair jig rod from Veselka Fishing and Customs, not only can you cast a lot further, but the way this rod loads up on a long cast is pure perfection. This balanced rod has the perfect backbone with a light action parabolic taper that keeps those fish pinned without breaking your line. Mr. Veselka utilizes an 8-foot custom fly fishing blank converted to a spinning rod and couples it with premium guides leading up to custom fly guides that allow maximized casting distance and reduced line friction and blank slap, maximizing your overall performance, obviously. And we found this rod is not only perfect for marabou hair jigs, but for any light bait you need to cast far, including small swim baits, spy baits, and more. Any light bait you need to cast far, look no further than the Veselka Fishing and Customs Hair Jig Special. So head on over to his website, veselkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com. And treat yourself to the custom hair jig rod or any custom rod you can dream up.
Hey guys, Gaff with Waypoint Angler Supply here. Just wanted to highlight the fact that we have the big bass resource right here. Obviously, everybody in Minnesota knows about Kitex and the littler swim baits like these bait labs here. But we're here to have the big baits here in the store. We got Huddlestons, we've got the dangerous swim baits, the jointed claw glide baits, and the bull shooter glide baits. But it's not only the baits. We've got big rods, big reels, big line, and all that good stuff for you guys to go ahead and chase your biggest fish of your life. So swing on into Waypoint Angler Supply and get hooked up with the biggest tackle around.
I learned to bite again today, and maybe you swim a little bit, you catch a good one, a 4-pounder in the first couple minutes, and then you proceed to swim 3 hours, and your mind is second guessing that whole 3 hours, but you never change because you caught him yesterday.
That goes back to what we started at the very beginning.
Spoke to my soul.
That's
exactly my problem.
And
we're
that's
talking about in the beginning of the podcast. Like, rarely does a tournament go the way you expect it to. And if it does, you usually knock it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
But that rarely happens.
As soon as you're swimming that jig and that your gut tells you that you got to change something, you pull the troller and you change right then. You don't second guess that.
See, for me, I've had it work a half hour in. You know what I mean?
I fish with one of my teammates on Eufaula. This was the most obvious, lesson from this, and what I explained is exactly what happened in the tournament. We caught a good one right away, swim a jig, and he had 25 pounds of bites the day before, like we were gonna win, blah blah blah, and I was just like, okay. And I drove down the night before because I was fishing with him. I was somewhere, I don't know, it's beside the story, and like I said, we caught a big one, and we swam and swam and swam, and I'm just thinking, like, man, we gotta do something different. He's like, dude, we're gonna run into him, I promise. I was like, okay, we'll keep swimming. And it was like 1 o'clock. We finally changed and pick up a speed trap crankbait. Went down a channel swing bank, and he caught a 5.5. And by then, we didn't have enough time to make that adjustment. But that was just, you got to listen to your gut.
I feel like you described my whole tournament season there. Dane, I know you're listening.
You had a good season. You top 10 points, didn't you?
So on Champs Tour, it was the best season I've ever had with points. Least amount I've ever made, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't have any top 5s in any events. I was very mediocre, but which is, I guess, okay for points, which doesn't do me any good. Team Trail was like my previous Champs Tour years, which weren't good either, but we had a good, knock one out, close to winning one if Fothergill wasn't there, you know? Or just like Champs Tour come close to winning one if Noah wasn't there, you know? But I'm so glad you guys are there, man. And I'm not, that's not like, you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn and get better, right? And made plenty of mistakes this year, and just try to correct them moving forward and simplify things a little bit. I think you get new technology and you got all, like, there's not a lot of people that could handle that many rods on their deck. You know what I mean?
It's almost stressful.
Can be.
Yeah.
For me, I need to be complicated, but I need to be simple in certain aspects. Like my decision making, I think, needs to simplify a little bit. Like
just
you know,
roll with the flow.
That's kind of the same way I am. I don't really think. I think about the day of the tournament before the tournament starts, but like, I'm not married to anything. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
I'm okay to go try something. But like, you know, like we talked about earlier, the Champions Tour, it's very hard because you have that clock beating on your back, you know, and you know the scoreboard is constantly moving and you're going down. So it's very hard to do it in that format.
It is
very hard to do.
It is. I think I need to shake more. Like, I like the Kyle Shooter approach to Champs Tour, and I think I'm gonna
Shake them.
just go bites. Don't even worry about. Don't set the hook once in practice.
I hook a lot of fish in practice.
I know you do, and that might work for you.
I
But
can't help it.
I can't either, man. I need to catch some, and putting dummies on everything, like that's a process of it in and of itself.
I got to hook a few just to keep your mind in the game, you know.
For sure. I'm on that program. I hook a few, and
I feel like there's
I just don't.
confidence and mental benefits to hooking a few, you know.
I agree with that. You practice, I guess it's a little different. You hook your fish?
No, I try my best not to. Just enough to kind of get an idea, and then just find as much stuff as possible.
That's what I do too. Like I go up to an offshore spot and I'll catch one or two fish out of that school, and then I leave, just to kind of gauge what's going on and how fast they're biting. Kind of gives you an idea what's really going on down there. But like if I'm going on a weed line, I'll keep hooking fish unless I feel like. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Like if I get bit, I'll catch it. I go another 15 minutes on the weed line for 100 yards. I get another bite. I'll catch it. Like I know that I can't do that in the Champions Tour. You know.
Yeah.
I can't fish 100 yards for one bite. So
Yeah.
like I'll burn those fish until I find a concentrated group of them.
Yep.
I'll just keep burning fish and done. All of a sudden I catch one, throw back in, catch another one. Okay, throw back in. Now I'll start shaking.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to. Yeah.
All right. If I know it's like a one-off fish place, then I'll cork them. Just because.
Man. It's hard for. I get so wound up and so excited, I think, is the problem, which, I think I'm. You know, like how they say, like some people's prime is like later. Like I feel like I'm still that rambunctious bastard who can't calm himself down in the boat, and I think that's probably my main problem, calming myself down enough to realize that Helen's voice deep in my gut is a beautiful sound and not the scratchy thing that I thought it was. You know?
But I feel like you do make good decisions. Like I'm watching that Champions Tour video of Gull Lake.
Yeah, I made the right decisions
Like,
that day.
I watched you like
Executed wrong at the end.
You're talking yourself through. Like it was at one point where I just took the lead from you and you were fishing an area. Like we got to go. You
did.
instantly pull the trolling motor up.
Mm-hmm. And that was the right decision.
Like stuff like that is what you got to do. You know, you could have sat and milked that area and hoped you got a few more fish. But like, no, I got to make something happen. We got to move. You know.
If I had a couple dock rods left, it was definitely the right decision.
Figgy wasn't there.
Yep.
Thank you, Figgy, by the way.
Dude, no, if he wasn't there, I couldn't skip under them docks anyway. I was too nervous, and I didn't have this. I was skipping deep stuff under docks like I could do it. It was real ugly. Like you were making fun of yourself hitting posts. And like, man, if you'd have been the camera guy watching me try to cast under docks in that last 20 minutes, it was embarrassing.
There's a lot of decisions. The guy, like I'm sure, like it's not just one decision throughout the day. You make 30 decisions like that. You know, one or two of them pay off, or one or two of them click.
That's probably the reason why I move so quick.
You're like, aha.
Just need,
Make 5 wrong decisions. That next one could be the right one.
you just need a couple to pop off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's why I love 5 fish formats.
Mm-hmm.
For my brain, I'm a weird. I like to get weird. I like to do that, and I almost feel like Champs Tour's tainted that a little bit, even in like. And I'm not one to make excuses, so this isn't an excuse. But John Figge mentioned it to me about.
I remember that. He
him,
thinks it's hurting his 5-fish tournaments.
and I never understood that. But when we talk like this, it makes a little more sense.
See, I feel
I
feel like it helps my 5-fish tournaments because the Champions Tour is forcing you to make those decisions on the fly. Because if you don't, you know you're dying. In a 5-fish format, you don't know if you're dying.
Right.
But everyone has their own opinion, obviously.
But I also feel like you're willing to try more than most people in a Champions Tour event, maybe, or maybe not. You don't seem that stubborn.
Not. I just don't want to lose.
Who does?
So I'm willing to risk. I don't care about a 15th place or 10th place finish. I'm willing to risk a bomb for a top 3.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It
so
does.
if I'm catching them, but I'm only in 20th, I'll bail on that. And I'll go swing for the fence to something else. I might end up in 30th or 40th, but if I connect, I'm going to be in the top 5, you know?
Yeah. Whitefish would be an example where second half I played it safe.
Did you?
Oh, man.
You were fishing the hot there. They were loaded there in practice.
That's why I stopped there. I knew they weren't that big, but I had that school in Pine.
Oh, you didn't go up there?
Novak and I crossed notes after, and I'm like,
It was too long of an idle. You don't want to sacrifice the time.
I was already down,
It was a big risk.
but it's like, I'm already down. Who gives a shit? The problem was that spot was open.
Oh.
And then I caught him there. And then it was like, well, now we can't
Now
go
it's
to
definitely
Pine. Now
too
we
late.
definitely can't go to Pine. Now we definitely can't make the idol.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, it's such a funny sport that way, dude.
You got to swing.
And, like Bankston, leading after the first half out of rush, decides to stay and double down, falls back to 5th. I don't know what he should have done there, you know, but it's a mat. You probably burned him, bud.
Yeah. So that goes back to all this whole decision thing and trying different things all the time, like me and Easton are talking about. That's what cost me the win on Whitefish. I had to lead.
You did.
I had to lead for a majority of the second half. And I seen Keller and Novak rising the leaderboard really fast. I'm like, at this pace, they're going to pass me. I know I can sit here and catch more fish, but what they're doing, they're going to pass me. So I bailed. And for the next hour and a half, I didn't catch a fish. And they stopped catching fish, too. If I just would have stayed, I would win the tournament. But I left biting fish to go find fish that I could catch faster to keep pace with them when they ended up stalling out anyways.
So Champs Tour gets you too sometimes.
And
got me
That's
that
what it
day.
does to people. That kind of stuff.
in Champs Tour, do the marshals have to tell you what you have and what everyone else has? Do they have to give you updates?
They're supposed
They're
to, but
supposed
they
to,
don't.
but they don't.
Yeah.
But they can. I
ask all the time.
Now I do. Now I'm not as scared of it. I used to, like right away. I was like, "Don't fucking tell me."
I don't ask for like the first half an hour, kind of like the morning play out a little bit, because usually in the first hour doesn't dictate the rest of the day.
I would agree with that.
So I kind of ignore the first hour, and I'm kind of just fishing my own thing, kind of feeling out what's going on, and then I'll start checking in on the leaderboard. Okay, what's going on? What are the weights? Who's got what? You know.
I haven't figured out how to use the leaderboard to my advantage. Right?
Well, it's
Like,
easy. If Arnold Helgerson's in the lead, you know to go fish dock.
Has that panned out for you? Because I can't say you did that on Rush after Arnold Helgerson was in the lead.
No,
For the
that's true.
championship.
That's true. Yeah.
He was in the lead, and I don't think I
knew-
didn't watch the whole tape, but
I knew that was a dying pattern, though. That makes sense.
yeah.
I knew that was going to slow down and die.
But has that worked out for you in the past, where you look at the leaderboard and then you make a change because somebody's doing good and you know what they're doing?
I don't really use like the people on the leaderboard.
Right.
That makes sense. I use the fish activity.
It's a pace thing for you, right?
Yeah.
You're very pace oriented.
Are the fish popping off?
Yeah.
Or is it really like a grinder? Do I need to slow down in my areas? Or are they biting? So if they're biting, I need to be moving.
If the score tracker was the Dow Jones, This guy would be a hell of a stockbroker. That's all I'm going to say. You got the trends down. Like, nope, he's catching that. He's catching one every 6 minutes. I'm catching one every 15. I need to pick it up a little bit.
It's like I said, it's burned me. It burned me on whitefish. It burned me on the river.
Hey, no stockbroker's perfect, man.
Like on the river, I got up all the way up to 6th place on that stretch that me and you were fishing. I got all the way to 6th. But I'm like, I can't win with these fish. I have to leave and go find other fish. And they were still biting, but they were slowing down. And I was starting to stall out in the leaderboard. So I left them fish to go find another school.
That's what I did.
And
I didn't know what was there. Apparently, I left too early.
I fell all the way to 14th from 6th.
I started falling, which is why I ran up to go swing. I knew I could have caught. I wasn't throwing the Sunny B, but on the square bill I was throwing, I knew I could have kept catching some, but I wouldn't have been gaining.
Yeah, and that's like if I'm not gaining, I'm constantly moving.
If I was catching as much as him, though, I'd have never left. I'd be like, hell yeah, 6th place. Let's do this.
But going back to the whole point of this conversation is that's why I feel like the Champions Tour has taught me to be a better fisherman.
There's big ones on that wrap. 5 fish. You only need 2 bites. You know what I mean? Why are you leaving? You got this whole wrap bank to yourself.
One I would have
George
stayed.
Little, Teal, and that other boat left. And
that one I would have stayed for a 5 fish format. But
Right.
I'm talking like decision making. I feel like it's training me to make better decisions.
Faster.
The Champions Tour is.
Under pressure.
Yeah. So like another example is the Viking Invitational in Minnetonka in the fall. This last year, me and my son fished it, and we're fishing, and it's a grinder. You know, it's the fall in Minnetonka. Like it's gonna suck. You know. So we are milking an area. We're like 6 hours into this one spot. And like, we got an okay bag. I know we need probably 16 pounds to have a shot at winning, 15 probably get the top 5. And it's like, okay, we're getting down to the wire. We got like 11 pounds or something like that. It's like, yeah, we need a kicker, you know. I'm like, we got an hour left. I'm like, how can we get a big bite right now? We got to go shallow, you know. If we want a big bite, we got to go shallow. I give him a frog. I said, here, throw this frog. He's like, I'm not gonna catch anything on this frog. I'm like, trust me, if you get a bite, it's gonna be a big one, you know. And I'm running docks and I'm having him throw his frog and scatter grass between the docks. He catches like a 475. I'm like, I told you if you're gonna get a bite, it's gonna be a big one. But like those adjustments like that, I would never made 5 years ago. Like, never fished that bank in my life on Minnetonka. Never thrown a frog on Minnetonka in clear water. This is crystal clear water, you know, main lake stuff, you know. And it just felt right for that day in that situation, and he catches a 475 big bass at the Derby. Bumps us all the way up to 10th or 11th or something like that. We got 14 something. He got big bass at the Derby out of 90 boats, you know. So
Crazy.
Yeah. There's stuff like that. Willing to gamble, roll the dice, because the conditions fit, you know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, it does.
But
It's so weird, man. It's a trained deal, right? It's a time on the water. All of that encompasses, I think, you know, all these things we're talking about.
yeah,
Right.
time on the water is. Once you agree, time on the water
Biggest
is
thing.
king.
Oh yeah, over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like he's mopping with this Sunny B, and we were talking about how you were getting into crankbaits a little bit. Have you expanded on that since we talked last?
To be honest, no.
KVD 1.5 or a little balsa sometimes.
No, I'm big on balsa.
Yeah,
So
Silent,
it.
no sound.
I don't like rattling crankbaits.
Mhm.
I agree.
I want silent.
Every time if I can get away with it.
Mm.
Yep.
I've been fishing balsa for years and years and years.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of rattle traps, that Simcoe, did I show you that bait?
I think you were at the tail end when I walked in.
Where did I put it?
It was up over there last time I'd seen it.
Is it on my boat coal back there? It's a white rattle trap looking bait. Oh, it's probably in my blade bait box. Where did I put my blade
Oh,
bait?
I see it on top over there.
There it is. Yeah.
So, dude, I feel like this thing would hit pre-spawn. So that's been my cold water.
You got some good hooks on there.
Oh yeah, dude, that's caught like 50 smallmouth already, big ones.
Those are Ichikawas.
Whatever the Nishine comes with, it's a Nishine Simcoe 75
those are-
heavyweight.
Those are factory hooks.
They're either Ichikawa or Duo.
They're
too.
yeah. They got good hooks factory, but that thing like on a yo-yo, super good on a fishing it like a blade baits where I've gotten it going. But I know like the Gunnersville guys and stuff when they're on that red spring, That's what made me think
That
of
bait
you.
is so fun. That bite, the red.
Yeah,
it's
so
magic.
They make that in red. I'd be real curious if you could, because I've tried the Duo Apex, the Aaron Martin's ones. I like that better.
How heavy is this?
An ounce. Fish is
Say,
like
it
a
feels
half.
heavy.
Fish is like a half-ounce blade bait though, so like you can fish it in 5 foot of water just fine. Which is what I like about it. Is it you can bomb it. Like if you're fishing shallow flats and they're in a yo-yoing type scenario, I feel like that is a super effective bait.
I like it.
Yeah, if it was red, I'd give it to you, but I don't think you're gonna do much with that one. Maybe you will.
Shad.
Shad, yeah,
No.
Silent.
yeah, yeah. Waypoints, they were sold out last I checked, but that's like a super sneaky.
It's so hard to keep up with the tackle now.
And I don't buy into all the gimmicks, right? But there's certain tools, right? And I feel like the Japanese are really good at like refining a tool, right? And there's tools you fish enough, like you've got 20 rods on the deck. You've learned a lot about each of those techniques, enough to know that you wish this did this a little bit better, right? So when you see that, like for me, I've been looking for a blade bait that throws farther, and that seems to have a better catchability rate far from the boat. Because a blade bait, you can cast it really far, and it seems like you can get bit on that initial drop or them first 3. But other than that, it seems like it has to be halfway back to the boat before they bite. And I think it's how it comes off the bottom with the angle of the line. And this like fixed that for me. And it's like you find little tools like that really.
Do you have problems with your
Help out.
when you cast your hooks catching your line on blade baits?
Mm-mm.
That drives me crazy.
Not much. They foul up and you cuss them out, from time to time.
Like a bomb cast, and you pull up and it's just like nothing there. There's no vibration. It's like, oh, you reel all the way back in to find your line wrapped around the hook.
I mean, it's kind of like Peyton Manning versus Eli Manning. Like, I throw a perfect spiral. It sounds like yours has a little bit of tumble to it, a little bit of Christian Ponder to it.
Maybe I should switch.
No, I'm just kidding.
Switch from Damiki's and go to something else.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. So, I feel like, oh man, I've so many more questions, but I think the biggest one, the most important one that everyone's been waiting for is the government has officially announced that aliens are real. So, like, the good news about season 3 is I don't need to ask the question anymore. I just simply get to educate everybody. Okay. So I'm not even going to ask you if aliens are real because the government admitted they are.
Where do you want me to go with this?
I think what that means is that alien technology has been confirmed, which means that the public, it's going to start getting to them, which means that we're like bitching about electronics technology right now, but we haven't even seen the alien version. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Do you know how pissed Randy Blockett's going to be when the alien units come out?
Man.
Like when you put a chip in your head and you can just see them.
I wonder what's next, though.
I've been mind blown with the whole side thing. You got these trolling motor brakes, and like that's all pre-aliens, dude. Like
You see what Cunningham's doing on Minnetonka with his?
I watched him poking around while I was practicing. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing?
He's got one on his on the back of his troll motor.
I think that's what it's
An
for.
Altera. Yeah.
Smart.
He says that he can get so precise with his boat. Doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing.
Dude, Downey told that to me, and if I've scoped enough to know, like, being pissed off at it because your freaking boat's positioned wrong in the wind or something, and you're not right downwind.
Especially with the weed line, makes it very difficult.
Yeah,
I'm
the
curious
weed line
your
argument.
thoughts on those things, troll motor brakes.
With my style, seeing them so far out, I'm able to slow the boat down enough before I get on top of them. That's another reason why I do it.
Get to transducers save.
Well, I just go back and forth on mine. Just
You have
But-
some?
what's
no.
that?
No.
No,
Oh.
no, that's how I.
But I had a style too, before LiveScope came out. It worked pretty good.
What's
You
that?
know what I mean? So with side imaging.
Oh
right?
yeah,
I had a
yeah.
style of fishing
Mhm.
that Dane and I had a style of fishing that that worked, right? But then LiveScope came out, and
It evolved.
I could have, and I kind of said, well, that LiveScope doesn't really work with my style, you know? But it's like when technology comes out, I've noticed Schlappers this way, you're this way, you're this way, you adapt. And you need to learn it as fast as you can, which evolves your style. It might not change your style.
Don't change it, just evolve.
You can't forget about the other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You still graph every day. And you still side image.
You still beat the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just another tool.
That's how I won the bracket, beating the bank.
That's how I won
I
East
can
West Rush was just graphing. I've been side imaging is what won that tournament for me. Was side imaging. The work before the tournament.
Google Earth won me the bracket.
That's so sick. I'm gonna keep doing it because I was starting to question whether I should keep doing it or not.
No, that was the reassurance. However you say that word.
Reassurance.
Yep. To keep doing it.
It's a real thing, dude.
Oh yeah. Because before it would be just one fish here, one fish there, but that one was like every fish I caught I had found before I even showed up to the lake.
It's like going to the river for me with that. Yep, same thing. That's crazy.
Like a lot of stuff in that East-West Rush. I would mark it and I didn't even practice it.
There was an area you were sitting on that there's a couple areas that Connor's messing him up on.
Oh my God, I'm
And
so
then
sad about that
There's
spot.
an area you and Gilland, I think, were on the east end that I had. Each of those spots, I got 2 real good bites, but I didn't really know the area. It's like, I was like, oh, I got an extra place to run to here. I got an extra place to run to here. Didn't spend the time to understand they were the deal. So it was like, I wanted to pull up on a waypoint, and I could never pull up on that one because I think you or Gilland were sitting on it. And it was a sneaky little eelgrass spot, I remember, that I felt I saved it because I didn't think that guys were going to fish it. And same with this spot Connor was on.
I didn't think anybody would find that.
And turns out Dane started on it, Thompson started on it,
Are you
Leiferman
serious?
started on it.
Oh my God, it was loaded.
I did
It
not
was
know what I found.
loaded.
It would be that prime example of like you find something and you didn't, don't know what you found.
Oh, I knew there's a ton of fish there. I was like,
It made sense, but it was a big flat. Like,
ain't nobody gonna fish here. It's this deep, Like, ain't nobody gonna fish that.
right, I can fish this. Hey, when I need a place to go, I'm gonna go here.
It's junk. It's full of fish. I'm like, I'll keep this in my back pocket till later.
And I drove to my one spot. I was like, oh, their boat's starting on that. And I looked over there. I was like, their boat's starting. Shit, this boat's starting on my D stuff, or what I felt was my sneaky
I had one
stuff
eel
in back
grass
pocket.
patch that I lit them up pretty good on. That was the deal.
I learned so much after the tournament season this year, like about the mistakes I made all year, that I just, getting confident. It was all about confidence. Like I would scratch the surface on a lot of things last year and not realize it, that, and not have the confidence to keep rolling with it maybe, or, but so I guess, do you think it's going to be X-ray technology? What are the aliens going to bring us?
I don't know. What more could you do?
Quadruple build drift fries all the way around. It was just the dumbest
The only
thing I
thing,
could
I
think of,
mean,
but
what's left? The only thing they could really do is like a unit that tells you what species you're looking at, maybe.
to me, the what's going to change to me is the experience of it. I think it's going to go just like video games have gone to.
Oh,
I think it's going to go to.
wasn't there something at
Something like
ICAST
that.
last
'Cause-
year?
Dude,
There was a company that had goggles or glasses, and there was like technology that was supposed to be a couple years out. They were still working on it, but the concept was there at ICAST or some show that I'm probably gonna butcher this, but I remember hearing it, and you could see like further into the water or something with these glasses.
Flogger.
I can't remember what it was, but it was like, whoa, that's crazy. But they only had one made. It was like a concept.
Oh, relevance. But think about it, dude. Have you guys been keeping up with the AI at all?
No.
No one can keep up with the AI.
I'm too old, dude.
It's a little scary. Not
I
gonna lie.
could barely run my cell phone.
I'm just telling you, like, that might give me a shot to beat Noah Schultz someday. Is the fact that he won't embrace artificial intelligence.
There's one nice thing about fishing, though. Is nothing is guaranteed, and it's ever changing.
It is, dude. But we're about to have. You seen the movie Iron Man?
I think
Robert
so.
Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Long,
we're about to
long
be
time.
half. Like they're about to have. Your shit's about to be bunk compared to what they can put on you. Is what I'm saying. Like, Easton's casting really good with live scope, but once they're like giving you that arm attachment that gives you pure precision, like it's coming, dude. You're gonna have, instead of a gut, you're gonna have a Siri that knows everything. Actually, not a dumb Siri who's like, I don't know your question. Like an actual Siri that's
I can
gonna
see
be
that coming. Like AI in the boat, like
due to the water
temperatures,
temperature.
you should fish here. Well, they kind of got that with Smart Strike Hummingbird right now.
Right.
Yep.
Like humans have been able to put some pretty cool stuff together. But you get the aliens in, dude, I'm telling you. Makes that Smart Strike look like a kid's book.
Have you ever played that Smart Strike?
Yeah, dude.
Like
I've had people tell me how dumb it is.
we used to go to a lake that you know well and have waypoints on and plug in your information, and it'll, like, it's crazy. Like, it'll pull up stuff right on your dots.
Knows all your spots.
Like, it's crazy.
It's weird how many people fish the same shit and think it's like, that to me is funny. Is how many people like fish the same spot and think and have a different result, fishing it a little bit different. But, yeah. All right. Last subject is college related.
I didn't go to college, so I'm out.
Easton's not up with the trends. He's too busy shaking a swim jig on Lay Lake or something. But like, what is going on in the schools nowadays? You guys got the trans folk down there? Did I ask you this already?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Isn't it a Christian school?
No,
Okay.
it's liberal arts.
Oh, for sure you got all kinds of shit then.
There's some creatures. There is.
Mental health's a real thing, folks. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. This is a freaking blast as always. Always learn shit from you guys. So now we can take him to the cage, hold him upside down.
I was asking what that cage for was outside. We're going to lock you up until you tell us a secret lure, he said.
Goes both ways.
I'll tell you mine. You tell
You
me
think
yours.
we could? I don't know if we could wrestle him.
Oh, I'm an old cripple. You could take me.
We have reach. Lanky, both of us.
I'm old and slow now.
Well, you've won yourself another boat, Noah Schultz. Congratulations. So, do you get a new garage for that boat now?
No storage.
Okay. So you got room for Easton's boat? You guys got that shed down there.
Mm-hmm. It's
Go-
filled up, but it's there.
You taking any ladies on dates in there yet?
To the shed.
Yeah.
I'm never at the shed on the lake. My boat's never there.
Two of the best hammers ever. Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Checking in, checking out.